going on, bro? Yeah.
So,
All right.
I'm retirement.
Huh?
You retired?
So who?
Retired?
I retired? Not yet. Need to. That ain't how I'm feeling.
More I can go. Yeah, I really don't. Whatever you hey, good news though. Your wife. Oh. I brought another one where it's like a Bluetooth on it. Plug it to the mic.
I see you upgraded it.
Yeah.
Sound loud.
Yeah, that's nice little one. All I did was buy the portable mic with the universal Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Just did it like that. Got 3. I'm waiting to see if they can type in if y'all can hear us. Rabat, make sure the audio's good before we start. Just say yes or no, we can adjust it. 64? All right. You good? You gonna log in too? I said, you good? All right. All right. I'll go first. Yeah, I saw you ready to get up. See that you're ready. I'll just go. Hope we warm him up. Hope. Keep whatever's that you have. Keep that in. Sure. All right, roll back. We start. Welcome to All Eyes on Egypt, New Jersey. 408 Chancellor Avenue for another question and answer class. As student teachers of the master teacher, Baba Yanun, we will do our best to address and answer any questions that you may have. Before we do begin, I would like to read the Pledge of Sapiens, which is called Parahan Shalel Musbatu. Nakuk Rahun Tayuan Leye Musabat. I pledge allegiance to Wusabat, Shalel Ha Tahuda Musbat Shabbat of the United Sabian Tribe. Wahu Muisar Tahet Masbat Wu Masa, one family under Sirius and Orion. Karir Sahu Rakuk, Sahu Hakum, Sahu Fahum, with right knowledge, right wisdom, right understanding. Lahek Kalal Sahu Tahum Kharir Jamud Sahu Nakush, for all right overstanding with sound right reasoning. This is the Pledge of Sapiens. Before we take questions, I know that we haven't had a couple of classes. There's a lot of things going on within the tribe, a lot of events coming up. Hopefully you were in tune with those, were notified, and were able to participate. If not, that's okay. The weather's getting warm. We're going to have a lot more. I want to read something really quick, if I could, from Your Potential. And we'll take questions. So, coming out of Your Potential, the master teacher, Baba Yanun, is going over a few aspects of the body, the mind, and how you actually access your potential. So I'll begin with verse 64. Think of your voice. This is the voice that speaks to the infinite being in the world of human beings. 65. Imagine you are a person who sings gospel. 66. Before you are 3,000 listeners, all there to hear the wonderful sound that you're creating. 67. They are overwhelmed. 68. They are lifted to a high state of ecstasy. 69. Now, let us imagine your voice being used for nothing more than to say, have a good day. 70. Is this an unimportant mission? 71. I sometimes think the way we greet one another has more effect on the progress of human beings. 72. Than anything ever said by the world's greatest orators. 73. In 2,000 languages, Rahubat, hello, salam alaikum, hail, ma shalomka, can create good or bad human relationships in the lives of unnumbered millions every day. 74. What does your greeting really say? 75. What kind of electromagnetic quality have you implanted in these simple little sayings? 76. Is it the vibrational pattern of discouragement and dismay, distrust and doubt, or does it uplift? 77. Does it establish a new degree in the mind of the hearer? 78. Does that say to that person, you are an individual who can accomplish something? 79.
Though you are beset by troubles, you have a worthwhile life to live. 80. Though outward circumstances seem to indicate otherwise, you are the majestic individual. 81. Does your greeting say that? 82. Does it establish a true brotherhood or sisterhood between you and the one to whom it is spoken? 83. Just by the way you give your greeting, the inner you will proceed from the inner depth of your spiritual nature. 84. Your hands and your voice are just two of the physical qualities. 85. That you possess for expressing the spiritual majesty of your being. And I'll stop right there. I wanted to share that because it's simply talking about how we greet each other. Right? Is there anything hidden in your greeting? Is there something that emanates from the majesty of the divine in you that allows when a person, they want to greet you or want to be greeted by you because you're sending them a certain warmth, a certain comfort, that they may be going through something, but just your tone, the sound that you emanate will make them have a better day or feel better about whatever it is that they may be going through. So when we say to one another as saviors, Rahubat, we have to send that same energy, not say it with a stink tone or really, I don't really want to say it, I'm being forced to say it. That's not what the culture is. And when we really truly begin to live that, we'll not just greet each other that way, but we'll greet anybody that we come into contact with. And that in itself is an upgrade in your spiritual development. So with that, we do say, Rahubat. We saw, are there any questions?
Don Murray.
Okay.
So Rahubat, can you explain which is the correct way to learn the language? Learning the alphabet first or just words in the language or time scroll?
Okay. All right. So Rahubat, first of all, Rahubat loves sprinkles, but it's not for me or anyone to say what's the correct way, because what happens is what works best for you. If you find that you want to learn the alphabet first, the alphabet are what? The harafat. Those are just the letters. Now, what are you going to do when it's time to put the words together? You're going to pause and go, oh, that's an A, that's a B. If that works for you, yes, right? Another way would be just to learn the basics, right? To speak Nisbatia, or our language. The two first things that everybody learned is what? Rahubat and Wadu. Now you need to fill in the space between that. So you may learn the things that you say every day, like how are you? How are you doing today? How was work? How was this? So you want to get that as just learn how to put sentences together. And then the more you do that, the more comfortable you'll get with the language. So when someone else says it to you, you don't have to stop and translate. You begin to start doing it as first nature. If you're asking me, and I'll say me personally, what was one of the ways that helped me to learn the language, and I'm still learning it, one of the ways that helped me is the chant. Because the chant have a lot of words that you would use in commonly, help, hear, us, our, you, family, children, things like that. So me, by doing it, by chanting repetitiously or repetitive, you actually learn a lot of the words that way. So I don't know, is there a right way to learn this Bhatia other than to be serious about learning it? You know what I mean? Go over the words that you have. In the newer scrolls, you have updates to words. Go over those. Things like that. And the more you do it, which is one of the healing properties of the doctrine in the scrolls, is you get it in English, but you also get it in our language, what certain words mean. Make a notebook. Write down the things that you get out of the scrolls. You build your vocabulary that way. Is there a way that you would say, Zamaltat, that will help you learn the language?
Like I said, day-to-day stuff that you use. No language is learned by learning alphabets. English, you don't learn English by learning alphabets.
Correct.
Children don't learn any language by learning alphabets.
Mm-hmm.
You just learn it by speaking.
Okay, so again, that's one of our Zamaltats is very proficient in the language. So while it's okay to learn it, but you won't learn the language itself by just focusing on the alphabet, because we don't speak alphabet, we speak words. So you want to be able to put the words together, and then if you want to say, hey, I want to write somebody, you can make it as a project for yourself. I said this, Parahan Shalel Musbat, How would I write that? You can do it as like addition to work, but you want to know what pa means, what prahan means, shalel. So when somebody else says shalel to you, you automatically know, oh, shalel is of. Then you go, okay, if shalel is of, what does m mean? E-M. That also means of. When you're speaking about someone in the dar or papa would. And you go, again, taking it back to the chant. I am in the love of all, love is in me, that I shook, right? That shook of what? The all, M, Pa, Pa, Ut. So you're starting to refine the way that you can distinguish different words, but don't make it seem like it's hard, put a lot of pressure on yourself. I'm just saying, let it absorb it, because even speaking the language around other people or yourself, if you're just practicing alone, just doing that actually upgrades your mind anyway. It actually, as it rests comfortably with you, you're getting enhanced, you're improving on the vocabulary. So, again, from us to you, I would just say, learn the words. Learn the words from the scrolls that you have. If there are any language classes that are online or Telegram, join those and see where they're at. Learn your colors. Learn your numbers. Why? You use colors. You see colors. You use numbers. Right? It sounds simple, but you'll be surprised how that's a gateway for you to learn the more intricate words. How to conjugate. You learn all that in English, so you can definitely learn it in your own language. Why? Because it's yours. You have a vested interest in learning the language. All right? I pray that helps tomorrow. I pray that helps. Any other questions? No?
He just said thanks for that. Just wanted clarity as well. That helps me. Thanks as well to this amount of time. I'm doing my best.
We definitely appreciate the question. So. Sure.
If I were to speak on the purpose of birthmarks, what birthmarks are.
Not that I know of. Not that I'm familiar with. Have you ever heard about the birthmarks themselves? No. Holes in the ear, a little bit on that, but I haven't heard of just the birthmarks. This thing we should have. It's that up there, fool. Oh, that's all right. Well,
I'll bring it up.
yeah, sure. All right, back. Appreciate that. All right, so while we wait for y'all to formulate those excellent questions you're going to be asking, I'm going to read a little bit from one of the readings with the master teachers, like a question and answer session called The Atomic. And one of the questions was about the planes or abodes. So the question is, which one, master? Answer. Well, let us begin. There are 9 planes, abodes, realms of existence in this universe. Question. Master teacher, are there more or less in other parts of the omniverse? Answer. Yes. Some have more while others less. Well, in this one, the physical abode is the lowest of the 9, and it consists of atoms, of matter, and quanta of energy ordered by time. The physical plane is referred to as the lowest abode or realm because nutational rate of its constituents, atoms, and quanta has the slowest frequency of the 9 planes. The planet, the stars, and the light you see are all of this lowest nutational rate. I did not include this moon because it was made in place where it is as an observation station, a satellite inhabited by grays. So each of the 9 planes of existence consists of atoms and quanta, and each plane is differentiated from the others by the nutational rate of the material and energy composing of it. Therefore, there are 9 nutational rates. The unnaturally created hybrid race atomites only have 6, and their female counterpart has 7, the 6th etheric state of existence, which does not include the soul, only a body up to a spirit. And that's about the planes, but you can also apply that to us as non-ether beings. Some of us move on a slower or a lower rate, and what happens is the higher you are, the easier it is for you to vibrate and be more positive, as we're talking about the greetings. The lower or slower you vibrate, you now give yourself access to these demonic forces or disagreeable forces because when you move slow or lower, they can actually grab onto you. And then when they do that, they pull you down. What scroll is that? I'll tell you. I think that was also the conscious being. Yeah, I think I might have just posted that recently. Let me read that real quick. Conscious being. All right, so the Pantaruk, conscious being, it ties into the 9 planes of an abode. Also, again, is when you're on this abode, you have the ability as a Nagaru to go up from 1 to 9 ether. So, verse 61, the master teacher Bobby Anand. Well, you know what? Let's go up. Let's go to verse 59. The master teacher Bobby Anand is teaching about these attractions that we have by way of the mode or speed of our vibration frequency. 59. Each of these gravitated to those of similar vibratory resonance, and on the ethereal plane, like attracts like. I'll say that again. Like attracts like. 60. With thought forms and entities of dense and heavy resonance lower in the field than those of quicker or happier vibrations. 61. Know that every event that takes place in the physical realm is imprinting a thought form onto the ethereal. Yet, most fade over time. 62. Mortals, that is very physical humans, live in the slowest frequency level. Now, when you say mortals, that's very physical humans that live in the slowest frequency level. Isn't that compared to the lowest frequency on the 9 planes, which is the physical plane? So you're talking about very physical humans who actually vibrate on that lower or slower plane, right? So, 63. In the field of vibration as is to be expected. So they stay on that lower ones. Now, when you hear a very physical human or mortal, as it were, who vibrates on that very low density or very slow vibrational resonance, that frequency, that vibratory resonance, that is a terrestrial being, meaning there are 2 types of beings that are walking on the planet right now. You have those that are visitors who will be going to other realms, and you have those who are residents, who are purely physical beings. They're mortals, they stay on this slow level. Now, 64. The higher levels in the field of vibration are composed of the faster frequencies. 65. Entities that exist within these levels think and act much faster than those in the lower levels or slower planes, tying it back into what the master teacher is teaching about the 9 planes or bowls. 66. And their mental states are much more unified in pa-pa'ut, the all. A group mind called mental, 67. As one descends through the field, gravity increases. So what is the master teacher saying right now? As one descends, meaning your continence or your etheric potency, it descends. It can go up to 9 or it can come down. So as it descends through the field of what? Vibratory resonance. Something happens. As it descends, gravity increases. So we all know that gravity does what? Holds you down on this planet. Gravity is the opposite of levity. So, as one descends through the field, gravity increases, dragging down thought into separateness, allowing for the development of individual consciousness, choice, will, and easy access by the demon forces. 68. Who dwell on the lowest level, waiting to step into their khatat bodies, take over their akal minds, use their emotions, then once they cause them to do something, or say the wrong thing, they move on to the next past person. 69. That's the inner voice that leads many to their death or to fight and even kill, and they walk in. 70. Many fights between lovers are caused by these lower level beings. 71. Many dead who wish to feel life again, being trapped on a lower level, and can't move on. 72. They become evil forces and cause all kinds of events that lead to sufferings. 73. They move on ill feelings, anger, jealousy, hatefulness, envy, and so on. So as the master teacher is giving us the whole existence, the planes and the abodes, you have to also see how does that tie into you. Which one of these abodes of the 9 are you vibrating on the most? Because whatever the mind thinks of the most, that's what it is. That's what you will attract. Like attracts like. So as we are on this mission, right, as humans, well, deities in flesh, as we're on that mission, we should be striving to vibrate faster, lighter, happier. What happens when you're moving on that heightened pace of frequency, you become, or you develop and are able to utilize and dwell comfortably in that state of oneness. We say that in many classes as wahunas. You're able to actually stay on that level. And if you're up there and don't descend, where gravity becomes stronger and heavier, they cannot grab you. They cannot latch on and walk into you and have you do or say the wrong things. So it's very important to watch your mind closely, right? And remember, what you should be thinking about is always a positive leaning toward positivity at all times, even when you may be facing, as I was reading your potential, something that may not appear to be positive or going your way. You must still have a positive outlook in order to get past whatever that circumstance is. Do you have any questions, Jack?
Eric Perkins. He says, has the master teacher, Panabab Yanun, mentioned anything about the West African country, Burkina Faso, and its leader, Ibrahim Traore, who has united Mali, Niger, Ghana, Namibia, and lots of other African countries that are no longer and has cut off association with the U.S., France, Germany, Britain, etc., and have become a united African, and more African countries are joining.
Right. Well, as far as I've been privy to on the calls and the Sabian tribal calls, I haven't heard the master teacher speak specifically about that, but in certain strolls he said a while ago that the Caucasus or the Caucasian or the Caucasoids, they're losing their power over all these other countries, including the Asians, us as Africans. So it's going to happen. He's already said that years ago. What's happening now is we're just witnessing that. We're literally just witnessing what he said previously. But recently, no, he has not, that I'm aware of, speak specifically on West African countries that are doing that. Actually just reclaiming their liberation, which is a positive thing, no doubt. But I haven't heard him say it. Sure.
How does the master teacher will explain how one would stay on the positive higher vibrations as opposed to be on the lower ones?
All right. So one of the ways that reinforces that state of positivity is meditation, prayers, chants, and just knowing who you are and accepting your worth. Because you have inside, each one of us has inside of us that innate inner being that dwells that way anyway. And when you start when you start being attracted to external things, external attractions, that will actually bring you down because you're chasing something that's an illusion. And when you don't get it, it changes your continence. So to stay positive is to literally live your culture, right? Understand that when you are praying and when you are meditating, two things are happening. Praying is you're talking, you're communicating. When you're meditating, you're actually listening. So we learn to listen to who? The true you, the inner being that's directly connected to your ancestors and part of God. That's how you stay positive. Because the mind now, again, is going faster, as I just read. It's going faster. And because it's going faster, you're losing less of the attraction of these things that are illusory, and you become happier with the freedom you achieve from that clear thought. Right? Another way, again, is when you open your katab, your divine eye. Then you see the world as it really is. If you understand that your ancestors exist, I'm talking about from your relatives all the way down the lines upon the daughter, they are you, and you are them. And when you understand that, nothing on this plane should ever give you any type of dis-ease, short of not taking care of ourselves healthy. Not watch what we eat, watch where we go. What time are we at these places? There's certain places we should not be because the calibration of frequencies is not on our wavelength. We're going to have to go down to literally enjoy the things that we're involved. So when you change your environment, you don't have to descend and gravity attracts to you. If you change your environment, you'll always be in a lofty state of mind. And if a lofty or elevated state of mind is simply saying you're above the nonsense, you're above the things that give you short-term pleasure and long-term dismay, especially if you're trying to achieve a certain point of pleasure in this thing that you're chasing and you never get it. Now you have what? That sense of loss, of not attaining that. And that will make a person depressed. Pressing down. You're going down. You have to always stay up. Right? And you have to do that with repetitive meditation, repetitive prayers, repetitive chants. And if we're chanting every day, right? You should be kind of happy when you get close to chant time. Why? Because I'm communicating with my elders, with my ancestors. And when we vibrate by chanting and doing it to the best of our ability, they come nearer to us. And if you're one of those beings who has not polluted your body with certain things, I'm not going to, whatever, chemicals, be it food, drinks, drugs, whatever, anything like that, you have not diluted the senses by dipping yourself in that solution, you feel their presence. That's the power of the mind's eye. Because now you're actually speaking on a tone and a frequency that's fast enough so when they respond, you can hear it or you can feel it. But if you're out here sometime in it, like you, and you know, I'm just saying, you have some people that are summer Sabians. Some of the time I'm a Sabian, and some of the time I'm just immortal. Why? Because the tingling I get for being immortal, that physical stimuli, makes me feel good. So I think. But if I go out of my way to spend money that should be going towards something else for that physical stimuli, once the stimulation is gone, that bill is still there. Or my responsibility has not been met as a father, as a man, as a mate to someone. Or just even if you're a single brother or sister, you are being diluted by that illusion of pleasure. And then the pain that follows that outweighs it, always. There's never I broke even. No, you don't. Because if you break even, that means you didn't move. And we are, everything in the universe is movement. You feel me? So that's how. When you want to stay positive, do the things that are natural to your nature. And we have one who was sent down under thought, a deity in flesh that was sent down to realign us with the right frequency, which is the formula for success, so we don't have to repeat and come back here and forgot that we were here the last time and do it all over again. Right? Y'all know what time it is. It's 2025. Is the world getting better now? Nope. All right, so you want to come back 60 years from now, 100 years from now, with other entities control the planet? And you all melanated out here?
If you can.
All right. You have any other questions? I pray that did address your question, though. You good?
I'm just putting it out there.
Okay. All right. So, the master teacher is telling us often that we have these powers within us, the latent ability to improve our lives and the lives of others. We are actually representatives of Panatharu while we're here. We are those who represent this higher divine doctrine, this way of life. Are we sharing that willingly with one another and others? Right? You know how, like, anybody that's in religion, if you talk to them for more than 5 minutes, they bringing it up. Some way they bring it up. A lot of us feel, oh, I don't want to push it on nobody. How's pushing what you do on somebody? They want to know anyway. They may not know how to ask, but they know you're different. Right? If only in the way you stand. If only in how, again, going back to how we greet each other. If somebody who was outside right now looking in and we were having an event and they saw us all having a good time, they want to know, who are y'all? So if one of us, y'all are watching, y'all in here, if one of us is asked, who are you? What are you? What are you going to say? I'm just what? You just what? I'm just what? You know what I mean? If you can't follow, I'm just what? With the same confidence that you can say, I'm a Leo, I'm a Taurus. Well, he don't want to hear it. But, you know, he don't want to hear it. But he didn't ask. You see what I'm saying? But if someone asks, you have to be willing to say, I'm a Sabian. I'm a Nuwapian. I am an active, a proud, a happy member of the Nubian nation. And that means that umbrella's big enough for you too, my friend. Here's a scroll. Don't be afraid to give out a scroll. Here's a scroll. Come to class. If you got questions, ask them, right? Because they're going to see something is different about you. Because your pants ain't sagging. You ain't coming from the corner store with a bottle in your hand. You don't look depressed. As a Sabian, as anyone that is in this culture, why are you depressed? If you need a mate and not want a mate, if you need a mate, then you need to be emitting the energy that's going to attract that mate. Because the mate is also coming towards you. But if you're not ready to receive him or her, natural nature is not going to let it happen. You can force it, right? But that's not the rule. The rule of natural nature is you should be emanating a certain energy that is close to what your soulmate is looking for. And y'all are hurtling toward each other, right? And when y'all come together and that right side, left side brain starts working, the magic happens. So people who don't have that see the images of the magic on us. And if you can't explain what the magic is, then you don't really understand it. And that's not knocking anybody. I'm just saying that, let me put it this way. You know how we have 4 cycles? The sun and moon, sun and moon. You also have 4 phases or cycles of understanding this doctrine. You have the apparent. That's cool. Apparent, that's the word. Master teacher's giving you words to go into the mind, to give you the mental images to process that. So now, the first part would be the apparent. Then you have the unapparent. That's the part that's behind the words that carries the essence and the magic. It's a part of natural ether energy. And sometimes it's seen, sometimes it's semi-seen, and sometimes it's unseen. So when we're as students of the master teacher, you have to go through these 4 phases. 1, questions. 2, and answers. So that's what the students, all of us are students. We have the answers to the questions, right? Or we're asking questions because we're seeking the answers. You see how you still in the first 2 parts? And the third part is the build. Meaning, when the master teacher has answered the question for you, you should now have 9 more questions. When you ask the correct question based on the answer that you understood, he's going to now build on it. The master teacher is going to build on those answers, right? Now, once he builds, guess what? He's taking you to another level. Because he's building, you thought this meant that? This really means this. Now he's building. Now, once you get the build, that's point 3. Once you get the build, now you got to get the breakdown. Who's giving us the breakdown on information that only he can give, other than him, the master teacher? So are we, as students, sons and daughters of the master teacher, are we willing to wait with patience for the build and then the breakdown? Right? He's been giving this to us for decades now. But because we didn't have the listening ear, we were caught on whatever school we're in, some of us didn't catch the exit jewel. We said, never mind, you'll know what that means later. When he said that, you should have put that in the memory. Like, all right, that's coming up, I need to know. So when he does say it again, that's the breakdown. See? So those 4 phases happen just like the 4 cycles. So as students and sons and daughters of the master teacher, we have to be patient. You have to ask yourself, am I up and patient? Or do I want to grab what I think he's done teaching me and run off? Now, can we bear witness of those who run off? How are they now? Right? And as Sabians who are supposed to be implementing our should they return, we should welcome them. But a lot of them won't. And they won't because ego has deluded them to thinking I was still right. And once I found out I'm wrong, it's not in me now to come back and say I was wrong. Right? So they're going to bypass the third and fourth process of actually learning how to be a deity. This is all spiritual development. We're being polished. We're being polished so that we can actually think on a faster and lighter level. So when we go to the faster and lighter vibrations of the other realms, we'll fit in. And we won't drop trying to be deep and end up back here because we thought we had it figured out. Like really, since 1963, y'all think that we really got all 76 trillion years of knowledge? We have to be able to wait with patience, but study while you're waiting. Don't let this just be words, 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 and you're not transforming ourselves, I'll include me, we're not transforming ourselves to be cosmos, to be sons and daughters of the omniverse. We're still worried about what's happening on this planet, which is really a craft now that we know. We didn't know that. Right? So now we're still sitting here thinking that this is the end all be all. There's people right now walking amongst us that say things like, well, when you die, that's it, it's over. And not knowing they answer the question correctly, but the reasoning to that answer is wrong. When you die, as they say, and we don't really die, we transform, they say when you die, it's over. So the end is over. You are going over to the next level of existence. Over means above. And you can't get there with what? You are descending. You can't get there if you're descending. So we have to really, really take this as serious as it needs to be taken. And if we do, then we don't have time to get caught up in those other things that are slowing us down. You feel me? So when we come around each other, we're supposed to build each other up. Right? We are the first master builders on the planet. They still can't explain how we built those pyramids and what the tachyon energy really means to this day. We have one who saw that, who was there, which is here now. And we want to reject him. For what? You know what I mean? Because people want to say, I don't like him. Oh, he did this and he did that. Not knowing that that's inaccurate information. There's a higher reasoning. The unapparent reason is what we need to look at and how and why he got kidnapped. Why he got taken away. Not the apparent, that's face value. The apparent, the unapparent is what we need to be delving into. And when we are supremely cemented in the fact that what that unapparent reason was, the journey continues. Don't let anything outside, external, pause your journey. Rather be someone's attitude towards you or us. Why should we care what the external person thinks when we know we're doing right? Other people in religion, they feel they're right. And as Sabians, we respect everyone's right to think they're right. We ain't even pressing them on that. That's good for you. But we don't ask. We demand the same respect from others that we give to you. So we're not here to bash or kick their back in or whatever the spiritual schools or thoughts are. But we're saying it, don't come at us because you're not really ready. You're not really ready. We could take you off world and then 10 years from now you realize what the master teacher said in 1970 is a fact now. You see that? But those are the beings who didn't wait with patience for the build and the breakdown. All right? I just wanted to share that. If you have any questions? All right, so let's continue. So this is a question. Again, we're still in the atomic. This is a question. So, can we reach and use those powers? Answer. Yes, you can. And your ancestors, Paul Natharu, are there. And relatives who made it. You see, intelligent beings exist upon all 9 abodes. And the body of the persons who function upon all 9 planes are composed of atoms of that respective mutation rate. Because remember, each plane has a designated mutation rate, meaning the spin rate, how fast the vibration is. Each plane has their own. So if you're moving like this, and you go to a plane that's moving like that, you'll get lost. You can't exist, you can't dwell in a faster plane because your mind is thinking on lower level things, right? Now, so a being, I should just read it. A being living upon one of the upper planes enjoys the inherent mental ability to naturally discern all the planes which are of a lower nutational rate than the plane upon which they happen to function. Stop. What is the master telling us? Right? That's like, look at the planes as grades of school. When you get to the 9th grade, can you not look comfortably back at 8th grade work, 7th grade work, 6th grade work? You're inherently comfortable because you mastered that. That's what he's saying. But your first day in 9th grade, you have to respect the rules of the 9th grade because you haven't been given them yet. That's what he's talking about in these planes of existence, right? Now, that means to naturally discern all the planes which are of a lower nutational rate than the plane upon which they happen to function. You oftentimes visit the planes in your dreams, and you don't even realize it was real. You may travel through the 9 air pockets in space and beyond space to see the past then, the present now, and the future then. Any questions? Got a question? So, some of our dreams are real? Answer, yes. Some are visions, warnings, and experiences, and you can learn to navigate them. Visit the past, yet when you visit the future, you lose life in this life. Question, what does that mean? Answer, if you travel to the past and return, nothing is lost of your life now. Yet, if you travel to the future, for every moment you're there, you lose a year of this life, and the memory of it is lost to you as a warning. So, that time is not altered. That can be explained in detail in another hereafter class later. So make note of this. Each person alive consists of 4 divine beings, all interpenetrating and coexisting. All atoms, regardless of the non-variant mutational rates, are constructed generally in the same way. And because atoms are almost entirely empty space and separated from one another by relatively large distances, the 4 divine beings of a person simultaneously coincide in space. The component atoms respective to each being commingle without interference with one another. So you all understand? You understand what he's saying? How the 4 beings actually exist at the same time and they commingle in space, but because of the large distances that we'll never run into ourselves. Unless you master quantum entanglement, meaning you understand how that happened and why that happened, and you're able to travel, preferably to the past, and see your other self, one of the 4. You follow that? So, yes, to
my question is for understanding.
Mm-hmm.
When it talks about the 4 U's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it talking about literally 4 different U's, or 4 different? It's talking about you as like offering just through life and experience.
Right, and a different line, it's like you on different timelines.
Okay.
Right? It's because of the space, like you said, they're all composed of the same atom, so it is you.
Mm-hmm.
A rudimentary example would be when the master teacher talks about your counterpart.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the ones. And you really don't see them physically, but you will see them if you go in the dream state, right? And then when y'all transition, y'all meet up again and become one. So he's talking about the 4 divine beings. Each one of them are divine, but they're you composed of the same atoms. And what happens is because space is so vast that y'all literally commingle. You could be mingling in a room with people and never touching, right? You just mingle. Everybody's mingling around. That's what happens. Space is so vast, these 4 don't come in contact with each other. However, there is a heightened state of mentality, of consciousness where you can actually go to them. But you have to learn that. You have to be taught that. Right? That it's not gonna happen easy. That's in Secret of Tones, Elixir of Life. He touched on it very briefly on that, and maybe in neuroscience too.
What's the purpose of these 4 U's?
They just exist cold, and I don't know if the master's gonna go into this in here. I don't think he does. I don't think he talks about it. So they're all a part of existence. I'm not sure why, to that level, why they're 4 of it. And let me see, read that again. So make note of this. Each person alive consists of 4 divine beings, all interpenetrating and coexisting. All atoms, regardless of the non-variant mutation rates, are constructed generally in the same way. So, from this, this is my understanding, but from this, the 4 divine beings, that each on a different mutational rate, which is why we wouldn't run into them. But because all of those abodes exist within space, they can actually commingle, interpenetrate. But I don't think, at least I'm not aware of him going to any master teacher going any further into that. You see, because atoms are almost entirely empty space and separated from one another by relatively large distances. The 4 divine beings of a person simultaneously coincide in space. The component atoms respective to each being, so they're definitely separate beings, each being commingle without interference with one another. So you all understand, okay? A person's physical body is the one of which he is commonly aware. Yes, both males and females. The physical body is subject to time, temperature, and the chemical equilibrium unique to the slowest mutational rate. Only the physical plane is subject to time, for time is a function of matter and vice versa. Without matter, there can be no time. Without time, there can be no matter. That's all in the physical plane. That's relegated to the physical. Question. So, without time, we would not exist? Answer. Only the physical you, not all your other divine beings. They do not depend upon time or place to exist. Now the master teacher is ready to go into the 4, looks like the 4 parts of us. Time to exist. Okay. They do not depend upon time or place to exist. Pa, basar, or bashar, flesh, body, physical person, one of the 4 beings. So now, get back to your question. Since we're reading this, the 4 divine beings could be, and we're just going to work on this together, the different parts of you. Physical, spiritual, right, soul and mental.
All right, so before we continue, we go back to this, just so we can kind of be clear on it. This again is
Panchara conscious being. We just go over verse 19. Master Teacher Bobby Anu is explaining this, and we'll see this coincides with this. Verse 19. Now, in ancient Egypt, this fact is included. You have Pa-Katat, the body, which is linked to Pa-Ka, the spirit person, or rational and conscious being, or rational or conscious existing being. And you have Pa-Ba'a, the soul, which is the emotional and conscious being, and Pa-Akat, the ethereal being, the creative astral being existing as a link to realities. A craft called the blackbird, and is called by a person the real secret name. Now let's go back to the atomic as the master teacher is explaining this. So answer, only the physical you, not all your other divine beings. They do not depend upon time or space to exist. Pa, basar, or bashar, flesh, body, physical person, one of the 4 beings. Number 2, the next highest, so now each one of them are existing on different mutation rates. The next highest being of mortal beings functions on the second plane of existence, which is known as the spiritual plane. This being of human beings is called the vital, V-I-T-A-L, being, coalesces the physical body and determines its shape. This is your Nafash, or Nafash Pa-Ka'a, the spirit being. This is your personality, because the physical body, Pa-Katat, is consistently aging and breaking down, and by its telomeres, cell builders, renewing itself with the chemicals provided in your food, air, and water. The vital being maintains the pattern so that you are recognizable from month to month on the Akat Mawan etheric abode. Yeah, go ahead.
You
Okay, all right. I will. Let's go back to the beginning of the second plane. All right. Point number 2, or the second one. The next highest being of mortal beings functions on the second plane of existence, which is known as the spiritual plane. This being of human beings is called the vital, V-I-T-A-L, he has it in parentheses. Being, the vital being, coalesces the physical body and determines its shape. This is your nafash, or nafas pa-ka'ah, the spirit being. This is your personality, because the physical body, pa-katat, is consistently aging and breaking down, and by its telomeres, cell builders, renewing itself with the chemicals provided in your food, air, and water. That part. Okay. The vital being, this part may be called, I don't know. The vital being maintains the pattern. So remember, this vital being is what gives you your shape. So further on, the master teacher Bobby Luna is saying the vital being maintains the pattern so that you are recognizable from month to month on the Atat Mawan, or Mawan, M-A-W-A-N, which is the etheric bowl. It's also the energy which sustains the vegetable, Pa Nasus of Fat Hayut, the spark of life. The spirit being, vital being, is within the seed, Pa Sharash, the root of every growing thing. And as the vital being regulates the healing process after wounds and or disease, stops. 3. The next being higher, which is the next above spirit or vital being, is known as the soul plane. This being of human beings who still have one, the astral being, who still have one. Let me read that over. All right, let's start again. Point 3. The next being higher, which is next above spirit or vital being, is known as the soul plane. This being of human beings who still have one. What did the master teacher say right there? Because it caught me. I was like, I read it too fast. Read it one more time. Watch. Listen. Yes. That's right. So the master is saying the next being high, which is the next above spirit or vital being, is known as the soul plane. This being of human beings who still have one, meaning those who still have a soul. If you don't have a soul, you stop at the spiritual plane. And there's 2 more after that. But you stop at the spiritual plane because you don't have a carrier to get you to the one after the soul plane. So let's keep walking. The astral being, the nutational frequency components atoms is of the third abode of existence. This is your ruach, or rupa-ba'ah, the soul being. This is your divine connection to the oversoul. Let's go back to verse 19 before we go further. This is your divine connection to the oversoul. Verse 19. I'm going to skip the first 2. We're on 3 for souls. I'm going to start on soul here. And you have Pa-Ba'ah, the soul, which is the emotional and conscious being, and Pa-Akat, the ethereal being, the creative astral being. He said astral being right here as well, the master teacher did. The astral being existing as what? A link to reality. So without the soul and the astral being, you don't have a link to reality. Meaning you can be confused, trapped, deluded, and fall victim to the illusions of this physical plane. And the highest you can get is the spiritual plane. But as I read further in the same scroll, you could be one of those beings who wants to feel life again. Because that's all you know. So you wait for somebody to either pass away, or you wait for them to drop down where gravity pulls them towards you. And if they come close enough, you can walk in and feel life again, right? So let's keep walking. So, the soul being, this is your divine connection to the oversoul. This is the abode and this is the abode and being human only, used after death. It's your emotional being, just read that. Your divine you. It coalesces the deities, your illuminating being, the astral or soul being, corresponds to the common concept of what is called the soul, not to be mistaken for the spirit. They are not the same. And this abode or plane of nawar, light of morals or aura, and changes color in accordance to one's mood. Some persons of clairvoyant ability who gain glimpses of the transcendent and radiant beauty of this plane exist, and gave rise to the beautiful concept of heaven or haven, docking above, in the place of the life hereafter. Then, got any questions? Question? Okay. Y'all just listening today. Okay. All right.
Keep up with this.
All right. They're like, shut up. Keep reading. All right. So here's another question. After you absorb that, those four divine beings, it's really you. It's just different aspects of you, right? As I was stating though, when you become like right here, let me read this one part over. The Nawar light of mortals or aura, your aura, it changes color in accordance to one's mood. Now let's read this next part. Let's listen to this part. Some persons or people of clairvoyant, what's clairvoyant? Clear sight. Some people who develop their clear sight, clairvoyant ability, who have gained glimpses, meaning while they're physical, they actually gain glimpses into these different planes. Right? How do we make contact with the different planes? What about us gives us that ability?
I saw that.
The astral being. That's the link to realities. Those realms are real. That's the point. And we, us as saviors, as students of the master teacher, Baba Yanun, when we come to that realization that they are real, we now get access to look in on them. But we have to raise our vibrations, our clairvoyance, our clear vision to see that that's real. You do that by making a connection by way of chanting. That's not the only way. It's just, again, you get certain vital energies by what? What you eat, what you drink, and what you breathe. There's certain elements here that will line up, that allow us to make connections when we do the spiritual part. That's the science, what you put in your body. The spiritual part is when you do that spiritual connection. Us, spiritual scientists. Right? Wait a minute. What is that?
Over here.
Not today. Okay, that was my bad. Let's get back to it. So now, the persons of clairvoyant ability who have gained glimpses of the transcendent and radiant beauty of this plane exist and gave rise to the beautiful concept of heaven or haven, the docking abode above, and the place of the life hereafter. So, anybody who has developed, yes?
So you're saying the clairvoyance is also the ability to see the light in the hereafter?
To actually see that. You see the transcendent and radiant beauty of it. In other words, you get a glimpse on what life is like on the higher realms. How do you call it beauty? How do you say it's transcendent? Because you don't see it here. It transcends all the BS that we experience on this lowly, slow plane of vibration. Imagine seeing something where the colors are not the same as here, where the shapes are not the same as here, and you feel shook, really. You literally feel it, and to the point where it's like a wave that pushes you. But because you're not really there, you don't fall, but you see it. You're actually able to see that and describe it to yourself, because right here, we're still here, remember? So that's why he says the concept of it.
So when I seen pictures that Baba had where it was like a drawing, but you couldn't see the people's face, and they were like an energy field and connected with a person. And you were saying in that point, you were saying that these are your parents that you need to connect to. But it was like an energy where the person was shaped like that.
As are we though. The only reason we don't truly see all our energy is because of the 99 elements that constitute this space. Imagine when your parents, your relatives, whoever, friends, when they transition, what are they now? Energy. Right? And so when they come back, what makes you recognize them?
It's energy.
The fact that the spirit gives it shape. The spirit's already given a shape here. So because your mind's eye remember how that person looked, they can see, on a higher plane, right? So they see it all here. They got this all figured out. They go, this person won't recognize me unless I come back as they recognize me, or the familiar spirit. So they're going to come back in a shape that you can readily recognize, but they're really energy. But they slow down and shape again, as the spirit does, a form that you can relate to, right? So now when we're doing our, when we're communicating with our Nisabu relatives on the altar, things like that, do we see them at first? No, we just have a picture. But the picture is the shape that the spirit gave anyway. So now when you get comfortable with communicating with them, you won't need the picture. Because if you're really on the right tone, they're going to come to you as they are. But you already know that, because it's the feeling I was talking about. When you look into the higher realms and you get that feeling, if that's really one of your Nisabu, you get that feeling. That's why they always like, yo, I'm good on this side. And they mean it. But a lot of times they're saying, because you got scared. They saw the gate closing through adrenaline. I'm good. Goofy. He'll get it. She'll get it. Right?
Eventually.
All right, let's keep walking.
What about the ones that are
Okay.
disagreeable?
What about them?
How the ability to define it?
Now, you define what? Let's
Define
clear
it.
what you're asking.
Define, because I remember at one point he was saying that,
Mhm.
the master teacher was saying that disagreeables will come to you as somebody you like.
Familiar spirit.
Yeah,
Right.
familiar spirit.
Right. But what's the difference? See, you have to realize too that divine, because divine still exists in this universe, so there's duality. You have divinely disagreeable, you have divinely agreeable. So the divine, that being that's disagreeable and wants to come and confuse or cause you a problem, the reason how you can see through them is if you're truly positive, you're an agreeable being, and they're not. So if they come look like one of your Nisabu,
Right.
something about them will be disagreeable. That feeling, right? Now you're talking about communicating with somebody with your eyes and your mind, but in the other realms it'll be darkness and it's just a feeling. Once you connect with your true Nisabu, your relative, that feeling will be different. It'll be something off. And then as you start to look at them, if they personify, because they can, if you start to look at them, something looks disfigured, or they will say something that that relative would not have said. If we make the link with them now, something happened around the 70s and 80s where that familial link got damaged. Either it was because, I can't even say it because women were having children young. That's always been the case. That ain't it. But something happened, even was the influx of narcotics, something that broke that gap. And then when that crack thing hit, that broke the bridge between parents and children. Because the children had to literally fend for themselves because the parents were stuck on the drugs or whatever it was. It didn't have to be crack, but that was most noticeable. And because we as a society fed into that so viciously, what do we call the children who have parents that were on crack? Crack babies. So now we're going to give them a misnomer. We don't ostracize them from our communities. So now they grew up saying, F you too. Why? Because I had to take care of myself. I had to end up taking care of my mother or my father, whatever, right? So when that bridge was destroyed, that's where the link, and they did that purposely, because now you no longer link with your grandmother, because you don't know your grandmother, because your mother was out there, your father was out there, and you were raised by the streets or somebody else, so you lost that link. Now, because that link was disrupted, those divinely disagreeable beings can come and play the game on you. But if you, yes, go ahead.
No, it was what you're saying basically, with those disagreeable beings,
Mhm.
all right,
Mhm.
they only vibrate towards you because you're being disagreeable.
Or they see an opening, they just want to feel life again. So they're going to pretend to be agreeable. Remember when I first read, like attracts like?
Yeah.
So they're not necessarily coming to you because you're disagreeable. They're coming to you in the hopes that you are or will agree with what they're saying. They don't know yet because they're not heightened. They're just spiritual beings. So what they do is they hover over you, figure out who you like in your relatives that's passed over. They'll come pretending to be them so that they can just either touch you, get you scared or do whatever. Or if you accept, when you read in projections and reflection, if you accept one of their disagreeable thoughts, now what? Like attracts like. They're moving in.
Yeah.
But you do that. But the same way you closed the door by way of adrenaline the first time you saw one of your relatives and wasn't prepared for it, you now, when you master the self, you know how to close the door for the unwanted ones. You know how to shun them. and back them up. You see what I'm saying? So it's not that every time they come to you, you're necessarily disagreeable. We have the polarities within our natures, of course. But if you're exhibiting the more positive side, they come because they just want to disrupt that. You see what I'm saying? So during, again, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, where we lost the connection, where many of us who are a little older, we always went with our grandmothers or grandfathers. In the summer, they were still in the South, when we were up north.
Yeah.
You went down south. And you learned so much down there, and you came back, and you still had that connection with them. Or if they lived in the same city, you went to grandma's house, it was different than mom's house. Because she's doing things a little differently because of the wisdom she's gained through her life experiences. She shared that with more compassion. We forget that when our grandmothers were only mothers, because we wasn't here yet. I'm talking about our grandparents to our parents. They were young. So they were still learning their ways. They was bumping and bruising. So me, let me use myself. When I see how my mom shows all this love to my sons, I have to catch myself. Because the first thought, I didn't get all of that. She didn't have all of that to give. She was in survival mode at that point, learning as a parent, just like I was to my sons. So they're looking at me when I'm giving my grandson all the love. They're like, you ain't beating him? He's only 2. I'm like, he's 2. Just like, well, you used to beat us, yeah, but I gave y'all more time than that. They don't understand yet. Because I'm now, through the wisdom of my life experiences, know that being harsh to a child, if I don't have to be, is not necessary. I was being harsh to them because I was like protecting them, like, I got to do this, and I can't have you all on me while I'm doing this. But as a grandparent, I don't have to do that. Why? Because it's your goal. That's a part of the forward thrust of life. When you made those babies, you pushed me out of that realm. The forward thrust of life. It begins in the dark. You and her. It begins in the dark. But now we're in the light, and I'm being pushed closer to what? The next level of existence. So we have to be on this mission to learn how to exist there. And the master teacher, being the deity that he is, forget what everybody else is talking about. Those of us that know. Being the deity in flesh that he is, he's given us the formula for success, and still too many of us reject him. And you wonder why things of these other updates is coming out that don't sound as lovely and flowery as other ones was. Why? He's only reporting what he sees. We were talking earlier. They see, Panagaru see what you do and what you do not. So what we're not doing, despite all this information we've been given, wouldn't you be frustrated? If you were trying to tell somebody how to save themselves and they still doing the opposite or not doing enough or being hesitant with the facts? This ain't the fiction. We're being hesitant with the facts that he's shown and proven for decades, for those of us who are old enough to remember that. Now for the newer ones, our younger Sabians, cool. You're still in a state of bliss because you're alive while he's here, giving it. You follow me? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, Don Murray.
Yes, Robert.
Is there a difference from a walk-in and a crawl-in? That's the first one. And from the Orion constellation, is there a particular planet we came from that's visible in that constellation?
That's what? What's the last part of that? That's what? Visible?
Yeah, in that constellation. He wants to know if a planet that we came from.
Yeah, oh, okay. The star constellation of Orion was a particular planet that we come from. Nah, because many of us come from different planets in that same star constellation. You know how you find out which one you come from? Is when you transition and those relatives come to guide you there, right? So there was an update that the master teacher gave about the vortex. Going through the vortex, there are going to be different doors, and there are going to be different beings. Some who are non-human, some who are human or grotesque, some are different shapes that we're not familiar with, and they're going to be bidding you to come to that door. The master teacher advises us through this update that, again, you have to not have your senses dull so that you can't feel. Literally, you can't feel, be conscious of this tugging. There's going to be a tug, a slight tug, that's pulling you to the end of your DNA. That will be whatever world you came from. But you have to be able to feel that, because it's going to be your relatives pushing you to the first point in time and space that your DNA, by way of the atoms that we just read, came into existence. If you can't feel that because you're so looking around, you will get lost. You can get trapped in one of those other worlds. Now, the first part of the question was what? First question?
Is there a difference from a
walk-in or
walk-in
crawl-in?
and a crawl?
No, because even, let me put it this way. For those beings that are trying to get into you, even if they said, I'm crawling in, it'll be fast to you because you're so much slower than them. So there's no distinction between a walking or a crawling. They're coming. Right? Put it this way. For me, or you, Don, as an adult, and you're playing with a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, and you say, I'm going to throw it slow. And you throw the ball slow to you, and that child, being that they're younger, react too slow when you hit him in the head. You just walk that knot right on his head. But you said, I threw it slow. You see what I'm saying? So for us to try to identify the speed with which we have one of those incarnated beings inside of us, it's all going to happen fast, and it's going to be almost seamlessly. And if you're not sensitive to the disruption to the frequency of your natural nature, you won't know it. You will not know that you had a walk-in, because they're going to just sit in, slide over to the driver's seat, have you do or say whatever it is, and when you're sitting in lockup or you're in the hospital because you got hurt, they leave. Their job is done. They felt the extent of what they needed to feel, and now you, as an injured person or incarcerated person, are of no longer use to them. And they go to the next person. So we don't define, I'm not sure where you got how you propose the question between a walking and a crawling. I've never heard of a crawling, but there really is no distinction. It's an invasion into your spirit, into your body. And it's going to always seem fast because they're that much faster than you. Like my Zamar Cafe was explaining a couple of classes, he'll say, how you say, like a 4th-dimensional being can run circles around a 3-dimensional being, and the 3-dimensional being can actually look and know things that a 2-dimensional being can't even envision. So that's how they move to us. They're faster, they're lighter, but you have to know yourself. And if you understand your true voice, your true tone, the tones of the sabu or relative that you made connection with, you'll be able to peep anybody that's not a part of that. But you have to be able to what? Feel it. Again, when you go to reflection projection and naturally the energy, it describes the forces and the energies and the densities that they have. So again, I've never heard of a crawler. You can type it in if you have, but it's all the same. It's an invasion into your body to take over. I pray that answers your question. We have another question? All right. Yes, move down.
Yeah, I was asked a question by somebody one time.
Yes.
And he was telling me that his mother had died a horrific death. Fell off of like.
You're gonna tell us. Okay, go ahead. Just go ahead. Go ahead.
A horrific death.
Yes.
Fell.
Yes.
And his whole thing was he was asking me, being that his mother had transitioned like that, will that affect him in his pursuit when he gives up his flesh?
Oh no. No. Now what can affect him, see I was ready to take it somewhere else, but what can affect him is if after she transitioned, like hopefully he wasn't there to witness it, he just found out those are the details, right? And then she had, her transition ceremony, et cetera, et cetera. Hopefully it was where her body wasn't viewed, so he didn't get to see her in that condition. When you ask, does it affect him, it will definitely affect him if he saw her in that damaged condition.
Oh, okay.
But if he only remembers her as alive and well, then that's the only vision he'll have of her. The loss of losing your parent will be there, but the visual image that will burn a hole in his mind's eye will be of her moving around, healthy, et cetera, et cetera. So it's time for him to transition, and she is on the other side. If she's made it, as we read, if she's made it, and she's there to help him, her vision is not going to be of the last way she looked physically. It's going to be of his mom's. My loving move that's what he's going to see. And even if she knew that seeing her in that last way would hurt him, she wouldn't come that way to him. Remember, they're in a higher realm. They have a higher understanding of compassion, emotion, empathy, not sympathy, but empathy. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
They move different.
So the most important thing I got to explain to him and ask him is, did you see her?
Right.
Go through it.
And I mean, I feel you, but I'll be kind of careful to even ask, because if I ask, I'm bringing it back to him.
All right.
He has to go back and see that again. I say, listen, try to, whatever the images that you have, if you find it disturbing to you, like that, if you find it disturbing to you, every time that comes up, transmute that to another happier vision of her. And if you do that repeatedly, always on point, you'll burn out the other one and the good one will stay. You can also refer him to Bob's class called Who Knows the Secrets.
Gotcha.
He actually talks about that.
Who knows
From
the
ancient
secrets?
times up to modern times.
Gotcha.
Who knows the secrets? But you can listen to it and build with him and then tell him.
That's
You know what I
what we
mean?
do.
Yeah, yeah. So it wouldn't affect him. Only how he feels here. If he saw the other stuff, the other side of her, the last points of her existence physically.
Roderick Watson
Yes, Robert, Roderick. Jamal.
said, do you have 316 degrees of Christianity available? Also,
I'll ask. I'll check. We're going to Brooklyn next week. I'll check for you.
also, can you refer any books for a newcomer that comes from Christianity? I'm doing my best to help a few people.
I'm going to say this to you, Jamal, because I know you rock with us. I'm going to say this to you. These newcomers that you're talking about, are they at least slightly open to hearing a different perspective as far as spirituality? Because to a religious person, there is not spirituality, it's just religion. So I'm asking you that. If you know the person you're talking to, one of the books I would recommend would be Action Fact number 16, The Birth of Religion. You can start with that. But if they're not really open, because Bob is not, he's breaking it down. He's the build and the break them down in this part right here. And by way of that, they should have more questions. So I would recommend The Birth of Religion. It depends on where they're at, because if they're concerned with, well, I just want to go to heaven, and their focus is on afterlife or after this physical life, then you got two books you can give them or refer to them. Would be The Spiritual You after the physical you dies, and The Cycles of Life and Death. Those two kind of, also 24 Elders, but that's a little more intricate insofar as what happens on that stela on the wall that we have. So I wouldn't push that one on them just yet, but definitely The Birth of Religion, The Spiritual You after the physical you dies, and The Cycles of Life and Death. Those are good starting points, but as students of the master teacher, Bobby Anoon, we've also learned that we don't really suggest. We say, hey, you can take them to the website and say, oh, scroll these, look through all of these scrolls, which one calls out? Because what the person sees visually, the soul also witnesses. And whatever jumps out to the soul is going to be the one that goes, ooh, I want that one. So I would at least give them that option as well. But again, we all know who we're talking to when they come to us about certain things. You have to gauge, we just read that also, you have to have the discernment to know who we're talking to, where their mind state is, right? In certain sacred orders, you could be of a high enough level, but if you meet somebody that's at a lower degree in that same order, you have to meet them on what's called the level. And in regular English is level playing field, or level conversational points. So once you find out where they're at, you can kind of determine which ones are better for them, as opposed to just saying, here, read the sacred wisdom of the Grand Hierophant Tahuti, and you send them to a mental hospital or something like that. They spaz out because they don't, what you mean, non-Tahuti doctrines and stuff like that. So you don't want to take them off world yet. But like you said, if they're Christians or Muslims and stuff like that, one of the good ones is The Birth of Religion. I would say Pop Anunnaki because it does get into the Bible and the Quran, but they're not used to talking about Sumerian doctrine. I wouldn't give them that. Now, I pray that helps. I definitely pray that helps you. Any other questions? I'm going to read this last part. So, after we know about the beautiful concept of heaven or haven, that docking abode above, the place of the life thereafter, meaning you're going to dock at that place. You're going to dock at that place. So, the master teacher, they asked him, Master teacher, can we learn how to visit this haven? Answer, yes, yet not the Adamite cursed seeds of Canaan. They've lost their soul, and as all other animals only live with body and spirit, once their body dies, their spirit is trapped on a physical bone as ghosts, ghouls, spirits, orbs, shadow, apparitions. That is the six beings of the lower evil self. Some in Islamism called the jinn. So you have to be very careful when you seek the higher realms. You may bring up the lower realms, like when the Polish women of Jewishism did when they invented the Ouija board and started the very first seances in Europe, and opened a gateway to this abode by evil spirits, shadow beings, So it's nothing to play with. The actual being or soul is composed of atoms on the etheric side. So you got the etheric side, that's antimatter, but it's atoms on the etheric side. Of nothingness, just as the physical being is of atoms on the side of somethingness, the sum of physical things. The difference is in the nutational frequency. Stop. Remember when we first started reading this, and Bob said the four divine beings shared the atoms. That's the sharing of it. They can commingle because one's on the physical side and the soul ones are on the etheric side. It's still an atom, but in the universe there's duality. You have matter and antimatter. So that's, again, giving us more insight into commingling without interfering with each other. Because you can't really go there unless you go mentally. Dream state, meditation, etc., etc. So, the difference is in the nutational frequency. And the next being higher, which is the next abode, remember I said 4 when we talked about 3. The next abode, the soul of your emotional being is known as the mind abode, or mental plane. This being of the mortals, the fourth and highest being is called the mental being. This is your akul, or akal, the mind. This being is not very well defined in most mortals. They don't use their own mental powers. They just get taught by Bible and Quranic fictions and fantasies and only know to relate all things by what the Adamite has named or called things for the last 6,000 years of his own stories, mostly lies, mixed with other racist cultures. So the creative mind is mostly unused until they have developed their own mind as it is being done now with you all. And Wusabat, as Nuwapians with your own culture and language, breaking their spell consciously, conscious being, from its rather nebulous and immature state into a kahin, divine being, through which you may activate and actively function on a mental abode of existence like all other deities. You're the next generation of master teachers, the prophets to come. Wake up and teach our own people. Clear their minds from the highest estate of divine beings, and remember, jewels of my eye. The Adamites were programmed with a mental defect caused by crossbreeding with the canine, the simian, the porcine. The result being its full brain ability is only that of a 13-year-old child. They never really grow up. And like beasts, they often regress back to their violent, unnatural nature of killing by wars and sports and a history of abuse of all others. Yet, as of you all, when one of your own race, by way and means of intellect, has advanced oneself to the extent that they have fully developed their mental being, they have then also achieved freedom. This is important. They have achieved freedom from the 24 to 24,000 rebirths forever. After, they are immortal. For as I taught you all is I am. I pray this here after class is clear. Until the next, don't believe, check things out. And I end it right there. It's a little longer, but that's it. All right? Do we have any other questions at the moment? Okay. I bumped my gums. Enough. I'm going to pass the class on to Mark Caffrey. Thank y'all.
Roll back.
Thank you.
Love it.
Okay. So any questions? No? I got something. What's the nutational rate? Anybody?
Oh, good one. Good
I
one.
heard my brother saying that the whole time. And y'all too online. Leave the books, put the books down.
That's a good question.
Right? So,
Mm-hmm.
so nobody? This is a problem that we have. We have to oftentimes know the meaning of words in order to know what the bill is about. So if you don't know what the basic words in a bill is, you're not even gonna know what the teacher's talking about. And if you don't ask questions, You just
Thank you.
became another believer.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So, nutational rate. When you look at nutational rate, this is a term that's usually applied in astronomy for the wobbling of the axis of a moving body, right?
Right.
So, now, this term, when it's applied in science to atoms, it's talking about the rate or the frequency of vibration. So, it's not necessarily a change, it's a shift in a higher or lower vibrational rate. So when we talk about non-nutational rates, we're talking about different vibrational rates, higher, one higher than the other. And it's also telling you that now you can have those what the four things called?
What, divine beings?
Yeah, the four divine beings, which could be vibrating in the same space at the same time within your being on what? Different vibrational levels.
Right.
Just like you have your spirit, your soul, and your body.
Mm-hmm.
Three, let's label it existence, state of existence. And all those state of existence is in your one body. But because they're vibrating on different rates, right? They're separate, but still in the one thing. In the one vessel, I should say. Right? Coalesce, what coalesce mean?
Another good question. Another good question.
Nobody knows. So we just hear like, we really, coalesce just means towards hardening, right?
That's right.
Towards what?
Towards hardening. So when something coalesces, it becomes more firm.
Right.
Gotcha.
You understand? So these are just basic stuff. So that's that. Any other questions?
Got you. Azamal Don Murray says, Rob Azamal, could you give me a slight build on the science of asking a question to be able to get a better answer, if it is one?
In order to ask a good question, how we was taught, is that you have to know enough about the topic first. You can't just be a person who just step in class and just heard me say something and go, hey, what's that? No, you have to know enough about the topic. If you know enough about the topic, then you'll have a real good question. Like you know what I'm saying? So, like I was saying earlier, any topic you talk about, if a person is building a topic, keep in mind, a good speaker can say anything. Mm-hmm. And the people in the crowd be like, that brother's deep. Mm-hmm. Right? Because they know how to talk. But are they saying anything for real? And the only way you'll know that is you have to know enough of the information that they're talking about. So that you can say, okay, I got a question. You said this, brother. And I want to know what you meant by this, because I know that nutational rates mean this. But you said you applied it to atoms. You see that?
Right.
A person who knows, who studies, they'll say, oh, hold up. I never heard nutational rates applied to atoms. Right? Because they're like, that's an astronomy term. But that's a good question to ask a teacher.
Right.
Right? But that would mean that you knew enough about the basics of what the teacher was saying in order for you to ask a good question. Some people say stuff like, some people say there's no stupid question, because there's none. But some questions, you could just look it up also. Right? Meaning, but with right knowledge, our information is on a certain level where, like for instance, you know how you have AI today? Do you actually think that AI can write a Dr. York book? No, it can't. Because the AI system that's built today is only built on the information within the confines of the planet. Mm-hmm. But when you look at the information we have, mm-hmm. it's outside of the planet. We have terms like overstanding. AI is not going to give you overstanding. It's just, yo, fix this word for me. And I'm like, you mean understand? Right? Many things that we teach in our doctrine is outside the scope of what the average human said. That's why we would say, or the master would say, he wait to listen to people out there who's teaching to see if we have a visitor as opposed to a resident. What's the difference? A resident is a human who teach information based on information that's on the planet. That means anyone can find that information. Mm-hmm. But a visitor is going to give you something a little more different that you never heard before. You understand? So most of the teaching that we teach is information that most people never heard. And if you're hearing it today from me or my brother, it's because they heard it from our master teacher already. And they're out there making videos on it as if it's from them. Mm-hmm. Right? You ever hear people out there talking about green spots on a baby and what this means? He's like, where you got that from? You know damn well you got that from the Nuwapians. But they're not saying our name. When people say 9 ether,
right?
Where you got that from? Because people say ether. But non-ether? Come on, stop. Scientists been through away the term ether years ago. Dr. York is the only one using that term, right? So it's a lot of information that we give, and the way we give it and the way we break it down is totally different from how they teach it. Because we're not coming from their institutions of learning. We have our own, because why? We was here before them. And because we was here before them, we had science, we had mathematics, we had geometry, we had astronomy that they don't have and they don't know about. You understand? So, any other questions?
Like the term affirmation, right?
Affirmation,
They don't use that.
They don't use affirmation, they use information, right? And affirmation, that's us letting you know that our formation comes from outside.
That's right. That's right.
And when it comes inside the planet and people get accustomed to it, it becomes information. And information is supposed to get you to a point where it transforms you. But it by itself doesn't really transform people. No, it just informs them. So a person can get information as a form of affirmation and just have knowledge. But it doesn't necessarily have to transform you unless you apply it now.
Right.
Right?
So,
Yes.
a lot of, even to the point now where they're bombarding us with a lot of extraterrestrial information. A lot of it, when I listen to it, it's like now they slowly but surely doing a lot of admittance to the stuff. You know, they'll throw stuff in that the master is saying, and like I noticed in doing a little research, a lot of these higher so-called like beings that they have coming, they're trying to, when I look at it, transform people's thoughts too. So this battle that's going on as far as the knowledge, is language more so, because you spoke about language, is language more so the spell that they trap us in with using words like to make you think that something sounds right, looks right, but the language, is that really the barrier with the whole information thing?
Yes, that's a part of it. That's why we would say the spell is on what? Words, right?
Words.
And every religion on the planet starts off with the word, right? You have the Bible, what they say, in the beginning was the
Word.
You have the Quran.
Kalim Allah.
They say the first the words that Allah was uttered was what? Kun fayakun. What's another one? And let's go to science. It deals with a word too, but in the sense of what are words? Sound, right?
Right.
And they'll tell you creation started off with what? A big
Bang.
Bang.
right? Which is a sound. And if you take that back to ancient Egypt, what is that? Who? The creative. Who is the creative force of will? But what is it dealing with? Divine utterance.
Sure.
Words.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And what are words? Nothing but vibrations. So all of this is based on vibration. Now, what happened is there's two types of teachers on the planet. You have, or I should say, two types of sapiens. You can find this in the Black Book. Baba Ben taught us about this. The Saba is a question in there that talks about the Saba, right? And the Saba we know from the Hebrew means host. And the heavenly host is nothing but angelic beings. And angelic beings are what? Angels or what? What do angel mean? Messengers. So there's two types of angels on the planet. Those who got right knowledge and those who have wrong knowledge. They both are spreading their message on the planet. But what happened is the children of fire, they're spreading their information much faster than us. We're the children of the green light, but we're doing it very slowly. We jump up on our own platform teaching instead of teaching the world. You see what I'm saying? You're supposed to go out there and become a Dr. York so that people can see you and say, hey, who are you? Where did you get that from? And then eventually when they see that you're bad, then you say, oh, I learned from the masters. But out there, you're a master out there. You understand? So they're giving their message. So most of the teaching that people are teaching out there, if it's not from us, is from the children of the Amber, Firelight, right?
Right.
And like, look at religion. Religion is something that came from Wunuwa, or Wusabat. How? That's the reason why we're able to take religion and say, well, heaven is in Orion. We can show you the Pope in the Bible, right? Job, 9:9, right?
That's
We can
right.
show you the Pope and say, that's Orion. Well, in Egypt, we called it, in ancient time, we called it Sahu. Today, we call it Sahat, right? So that was heaven to the ancient Sumerians or the ancient Egyptians. However, when you go into the scriptures, they purposely made the Egyptians a group of evil people. Because a Christian would tell you the Egyptians are, they're bad.
Right.
Ego. You was taught by the disagreeable angelic beings who gave you that religion to go against your own self.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because our instances, how you do history, when you study history, you gotta line it up. What I mean by that is this. Did the Egyptians exist? Even if they didn't call themselves Egyptians, the Kemites or the Tammanians, did they exist?
So,
Did they have records that they existed?
Sure.
Did they leave carvings on the wall? Did they ever talk about their encounter with the Israelites? Ever? No. Do the Israelites exist? Today, in a book, right? Just like Santa Claus exists today in the minds of people, but he's not a real character. He's a made-up figure. Well, the Israelites are made-up figures. You know what I'm saying? Jesus. They gave people this concept of Jesus, and Jesus is really a concept that goes back to ancient Egypt. We didn't call the person Jesus, but that figure is in all ancient cultures with a different name. So in the Bible, you find them under the English word Jesus. In the Greek, you find them under the word Isos. In the Arabic, which is really from the Greek, you find them under the word Isa. Right? And then in ancient, let's go to Hinduism, you find them under what? Hare Krishna. You can hear the Christ word in there.
Right.
And this all goes back to Tammuz of ancient Sumeria. And then you go way back to who? Har, or Horus, some people say Horus of ancient Egypt. That is the Jesus figure in Egypt or in ancient Tamaray or ancient Kemet. However, when they give you a watered down version, they give you their Jesus, their Christ, which has nothing to do with us as the original people on planet Earth, because their story of their Jesus is, how old is the biblical stories?
not even 6,000.
Right?
Right.
So the Christianity, the Bible goes back 2,000. Islam goes back to 1,400. The Torah goes back to some almost 6,000. All this is going way back. It's coming from the ancient Babylonian tablets and going back to the ancient Egyptian stelas on those walls or the stone slabs. Right? So in order for misinformation to exist, it needed to have right information to distort. So they took our ancient knowledge and distorted it and gave people religious books, religious doctrines. You know what I'm saying? And this happened over and over. And how are they doing it? They're doing it through words. And another thing they did was this. They wrote books. We have a problem here where people think you can't write books. You heard this before? Which is a sick philosophy. Did the master teacher teach that?
No.
No. Now think about this. The evil one, right? Their philosophy is when you go to college, right? For those of you who went to college and you took your got your degree, you did your dissertation,
Right.
you're required to write a book. You do know that, right? So what happened is this. If I created my institution that's full of lies and I create a bunch of authors, right? What's going to happen? Eventually, if I write that men are first in my books, right? And then I have my colleagues who went to school with me write another book to confirm what I just said, what does his book become for me? A reference point.
That's right.
A reference point. So if they keep doing this for generations, they will have references for a whole bunch of lies. And it will be multiple of the Amberlite children with books that reference lies all day. And then the people that's listening and watching, they'll go and reference the same lies. So when you come as one person with only one author, right? What happens? People go and say, well, he can't, he's the only person saying it. How do you got to start verifying information by what? Breathing more authors to what? Make your own references, because this is our culture, right? You should be writing a book on Egypt. You should be writing a book on extraterrestrials. Right. You should be writing a book on some aspect of the culture. You know what I'm saying? So that is references within our culture. So you can say, hey, Yeah, that person go, but Dr. Yoke was the only one writing it. Well, did you read Brother Brother Caffrey's book?
Right.
Or did you read Brother Sabak's book? Or did you read Sister so-and-so book?
Right.
These are other people in the culture who also write books, right? So to verify our own information, because that's what they're doing. Only difference is our information is actually right and exact. We can explain it. You know what I'm saying? They can't explain half the things that they have references in. And because they have a reference, people think it's true. And that's where the concept, we would say, evil is fair seeming.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They make you think that which is right is wrong, and that which is wrong is right. You know what I'm saying? So we are here to change that. In doing that, many people are not going to like us. But we don't care. Because we're here to save the souls of the people on the planet. And if they don't like us to save their soul, it's okay. But guess what? There's always people that's going to listen to you, regardless of the ones who don't want to listen.
Right. So
if a person want to say Jesus is their Lord and Savior only, and that's it for them, cool. We understand that that's how far your DNA goes. It's okay. Another person want to say Muhammad is my last prophet, we say cool. Take the Arabian prophet and do what you got to do. Another person may say Moses is their partner. You know what I'm saying? Take Moses and keep it going. We're saying we're going back to ancient Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Where our culture, the foundations of everything that's on this planet, came from that. That's the cradle of civilization. Everybody learned from Egypt. Everything that people know in religion come from Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we had in this day and time.
I got an online question from our Zamal Don. It was two questions. The first one is, how did the Hadron Collider open up vortexes and can it be resealed? That's one question.
Okay. So you gotta understand something. You have dimensional beings, you have interdimensional beings. So dimensional beings, or you could say extraterrestrials. These are the physical form ones. Because they have a body like us, they are on the same time as us, right here. So in order to create a vortex, they learn how to tear holes in space.
Right.
And how they do that is by what? Atom smashing, right? So they created the Hadron Collider in order to rip holes in space to open up vortexes into the other dimensions. Because once again, everybody on the planet is in contact with extraterrestrials. This is a concept that they would like to make you think that most people are not. They want to make you think have a Hollywood mindset that when you say extraterrestrial, you must be watching some alien movie or something like that. No, like you said earlier, brother. In this day and time, more people or more the government is revealing everything that y'all been saying back in the days about extraterrestrials and spacecrafts and things of that nature. It's all being revealed in this day and time now. So all the people that were saying he was crazy, if they're watching their news, right, they're like, damn, he was actually right, right? If they would admit it, right? But now, since they're masters, because most people's master is Caucasians, you know. Meaning, that's their source. That's their reference. If he don't say it, it's not a fact. We are on a different line where we are black conscious. And not just because of blackness, but because of that's the source of everything. And we understand that the ancient masters were Nagabs or Negroids. You know what I'm saying? And because they were Negroids, they was able to come as one of us and give us certain information that we accept from our own. Just like everybody on the planet accept anything that the Makasus say. You know what I'm saying? And that's another spell within itself. Because they have to first get you to hate yourself to not want to listen to one who looks like you. Right? And that first thing was through religion. And the sad thing is that your parents are the ones that gave you your religion. So your parents was under the spell, and they have a tradition of teaching it to the children. And when they taught once they believed that in that white Jesus, or that white Muhammad from Arabia, right, or that white Moses from Egypt, right? Once they did this and gave it to the children, then the children then had an inferiority complex, and it went on and on. So they open up vortexes by smashing atoms, and that's why they create the Hadron Collider.
All right. The second question is, do disagreeable entities use it, the vortex, only? And can all beings use it, agreeable and disagreeable?
Vortexes can be used by many different people, or different beings, I should say. So we have our beings that can use them, and other beings that's on other dimension levels, they can use them as well. But they can create their own, because you can create a vortex. And the Master had taught us how it's simple. So if you have two objects coming towards each other. One could be traveling at 50 miles per hour, other one could be traveling less than that. Once they cross each other's path, right, they're going to create an energy like a whirlwind, a whirlpool. Right. And that whirlwind that they create is a vortex. You understand? So some extraterrestrial beings who know how to do it, when you're looking at the Hadron Collider, that's just a machine that's doing it for them inside of these huge laboratories. Because where the Hadron Collider is, that's a huge place, right? Just for that situation to occur. So disagreeable beings do use it as well. And the one that's called the Hadron Collider, it belongs to the disagreeable beings. But the disagreeable beings have a way of making a thing public and normal, so that the public don't look at them as crazy. So we could be referencing the Hadron Collider and don't even know they're using that to tear space in this fabric that we call Earth right now.
Mm-hmm. All right. We have another question from Al-Zamal Satak, Kwabena Nakti, Rabat. When speaking to a Hebrew Israelite, how do I explain Abraham's seed being taken into a strange land for 400 years? He's saying the Hebrew Israelites are saying to him, that was us in America, like they always say.
We used to say that too. Right?
Yeah.
So what happens is, a lot of the stories in the scriptures are taken from other concepts, right? So because it's taken from other concepts, if a person is still in the mind state of being a Hebrew Israelite, first we have to understand this. It's many things in the scriptures that come from true sources, right? Like Abraham himself, that was an Egyptian person too, called, I believe, Teti, right?
No, I'm mistaken, it was Teti.
Yes, Teti. So this is an Egyptian story, right? But not the whole story, just the person. You know what I'm saying? Meaning you can find this person with 3 wives, just like Abraham had 3 wives. Now, when you're looking at the whole concept of people being taken in a land for 400 years that's not theirs, it sounds good, right? We took in a land in 400 years that's not ours, right? But let's be real. How long have black people been in America? 400 years? Let's be real. Let's be factual now.
Right.
We came here before the continental drift. Go look up in Google how long did it take for the landmass to break apart. Now we're talking facts now. We can talk biblical mythology and then talk reality. Mm-hmm. The reality is that we've been here on what we call in North America long before 400 years. Right? That's another trick that people like to do to make us think that we only came from Africa alone. No. The whole concept of the slave trade, because when they tell you the 400 years of being here thing, what they're trying to connect you to is the slavery thing. Yeah. Now, us as Nuwapians and Sabians, we understand that we was never slaves, right? So slavery don't exist in our mind. We know that the international crime called kidnapping, certain Africans was kidnapped from the motherland and brought over here, right? However, there was already Africans in America, or what they call America, long before the continental drift. Now, when I'm saying this for a reason. Continental drift is a key. Because you go look, when did the landmass break? That's millions of years ago. You understand? So who was here? Those people was called the Olmec, or the Nubian. And they was here long before a 400-year slave trade. You understand? So that's mythology. Also, the Israelites. There is no realistic Israelites. You understand? No realistic Israelites that were black people. You understand? That's a biblical myth. Now, if you want to relate it to someone, you can relate it to the Hyksos, because the Hyksos dynasty was in Egypt, right? And conquered Egypt for some 400 years. Right? They did that, right? But they was not called Israelites. But we can say that's the closest reference point. We can say those are the Israelites. And if we say the Hyksos is the Israelites, is the Hyksos black or white?
White.
White people. So the Israelites is white people. Hyksos, shepherd kings, shepherd dogs. You know what I'm saying? Those are the people that's the real Israelites. But because black people want to worship their master's book, how you going to talk about slavery and you still got the slave master's Bible? Talking about, that don't make no damn sense. You got the slave master's Bible talking about, and this right here is us, brother. Abraham, we older than Abraham. You know what I'm saying? That character is not real. But like I said, we can take that story and say, this is where it came from. They took this out of Egypt and put it here in the Bible, or what they call in the little book, right? So, if you want to deal with religious mythology, then stay there, yeah. When we was in the school of Nubian Islamic Hebrew, we used to use that same foolish quote, right? We use all the religious quotes that relates to, that black people could relate to, right? But once we left that school, it's like leaving kindergarten and going to first grade, and leaving first grade and going to second, and then finally going to the university, and then going to the omniversity. We're in the omniverse.
Right.
We're no longer in kindergarten with that religious knowledge.
Right.
But if a person genuinely wants to know as a Hebrew Israelite, we could give you, this is the closest reference, the Hyksos. That's the only concept with the 400, or it was actually 430 years, right? That the Hyksos ruled Egypt, right? But in reality, that story is not real. Just like most or 90% of the Bible and the Quran and the Torah is not real. But if a Hebrew or a Muslim or a Christian hear me say that, they're like, you a damn devil. I mean, like, you know what? It is what it is. If telling the truth is a devil, call me a devil.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because their own book says, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall
Set you free.
make you free. Make you free, right?
That's right, make you free.
Right?
That's right.
So, we are the people of truth. We tell the truth. And oftentimes people don't like the truth, but that's the truth. And truth is truth. You know?
And also, Zamal, they didn't rule all of Egypt, just a part, right?
Now, they didn't rule.
Yeah.
Now we get to Kamos and Akron.
Ran them up out of there.
Yeah.
All right. Nothing online, anything in the room? Says Tower Hat. And take out their foods them all.
It's like recently, yeah, people. If I said I'm against Jesus, I'm against Christ, what they would call you?
Antichrist.
Antichrist, right? Now, what does Antichrist mean to the average Christian?
Against Christ.
Against Christ, right? But what does anti means in Greek? Substitute.
Right.
Substitute.
That's right.
A substitute Christ. That's what Antichrist means in Greek. A replacement Christ. That's what it means. And even in the scriptures, if you go in the Bible, it talks about another Christ
Yep.
in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Let me see if I can find it. You know what? I'll find a better way. So 2 Corinthians 11:14. Hear this. This is in their books. Everybody be like, Jesus the Lord is the only one, blah, 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 crap, right?
He came for everybody.
So 2 Corinthians 11:4. So it says this. For if he that cometh preaches another Jesus, whom we have not preached, or if ye receive another spirit which ye have not received, or another gospel which ye have not accepted, ye might well bear with him. So it says, for he that cometh preaches another Jesus. You know what I'm saying? In their book tells you about, and that would be Antichrist, because anti in Greek means substitute.
Substitute.
Right? So it's these type of concepts that, this is when you say, this is outformation, as opposed to information, because everybody else would say, anti means against Christ. You against Jesus Christ, right? No. Anti means a substitute Christ. That's all. a lot of people are still stuck in lower grades of knowledge. And what's sad about it is they're actually getting new subscribers to that garbage every day. Why? Because every organization, whether it's religious or business, they always find their best speakers and put them in the front. So we look at a Hebrew Israelite organization, they will make sure, let me get the strong voice brother who look like he knows what he's talking about, right? Let me get the dummy to read this quote. Read, brother, and we said. Just because you yell it doesn't mean it makes sense, right? It doesn't make no sense. And if it's 2025 and you still out there screaming the white man's Bible at the same time saying you're against the white man, you're foolish. How about get rid of that garbage? If you against the white man, he'll miss book 2, right? That's his Bible. Right?
Yep.
But that's the spell. The spell is so strong that they can't even see. And then some people go and tell you who love Christianity so much, they go, but Christianity started in Ethiopia. Garbage. No, it wasn't. Christianity that you see in Ethiopia came to Ethiopia. The word Ethiopia is not even an African word. Stop it. That's a Greek word, right? Ethiopia means what? Burnt faces. In Greek. That's not an African name. So even the names in Africa, many of those names are not even from the motherland. It's from an invader. You understand? So that is a lie. Christianity was brought into Ethiopia, just like it was brought to America. You understand? And everywhere else in the world. And this is the stuff that people don't want to see. But, like I said, it's our job opening eyes, and if they want to keep their eyes closed, it's okay. We're not here for you. We're only for the people who want to know. Right. Listen, we have a time that the master always gives us to say, yo, the hourglass is almost empty. He now says what? It is empty.
It's empty.
So we don't got the time to play religious games with people no more. If you are a sincere Christian, a sincere Muslim, a sincere Hebrew, and you want to learn, come to the N.I.H. to learn, not to battle that white man's book. We don't care about the white Arabic Quran. We don't care about the white man's Christianity Bible. We don't care about the white man's Torah. We don't care about it. It has nothing to do with us. Those books are very young. How old is the black race?
Millions of years.
No. There's no birth records of the black man and the black woman.
Right.
Because we're older than time itself.
Right.
So don't give me no book that's 6,000 years old and tell me that's my book. Adam and Eve are people. There wasn't the first two people, and their names wasn't even Adam and Eve. So stop it. Right?
Right now.
So we gotta stop playing this fairy tale game called religion and give it back to the people that created it. It was never created for us. It was created for what? The purpose of making cattle, turning humans to cattle. And what people don't realize is that there's a spirit force behind religion, and those spirit force is called the Anunnaki, or the Anunna, or the Anakin, right? These beings, not all of them, but the ones that's responsible for those books are flesh-eating demons. You heard what I said? Cannibals. And they're responsible for all the cannibalistic quotes that you see in the scriptures today. Hebrew Israelites, I remember back in the days talking to these brothers on 42nd Street, and they would give you the stupid story talking about, yeah, we ate our own people because at the time we didn't have no food. I'm like, you really want to say some foolish stuff like that?
On the mic.
Yeah, you really want to say something stupid like that? Listen, that has nothing to do with us. We ain't the people that be eating people. The people that's close to eating people is the ones you see eating food medium rare. That's not us. And if you see us start doing it, that's us trying to be our master. You know what I'm saying? The master. You know what I'm saying? That's not our culture. So, considering that the spirit force behind it is the Anunnakis, right? And these beings are not for us.
Right.
The only Anunnakis that's for us is the ones that's under Pa Netru, or the Thar. You know what I'm saying? And we know who they are by name. Enki, he's under the Netru. You know what I'm saying? And some of his offspring.
Right.
Enlil, leader, one of the leaders of the Anunnaki. And these are your Yahweh, right? Or your Elohims, or your, what's that? El Shaddai. You know what I'm saying? These are the names that they give you in the scriptures of the Anunnakis, but under new titles and new names in different languages.
Wow.
Even the word Anunnaki is in the scriptures, but it's not under the word Anunnaki just like that. You have to go into the word, like you said, the spells on words. There's a quote, the head of the Anunnaki is called who?
Anu.
Anu, right? A-N-U.
Right.
So, in the scriptures, anytime and what do Anu means? In Cuneiform form. On high. So, in the Bible, anywhere you see the word above is the word Anu. You got to go into the language. When you go into the language, you see the name Anu. There's a quote in the Bible where Jesus says, I am from above and you are from beneath. You go into the Strong Concordance and look up the word above. He's saying, I am from Anu. You understand? There's a name in the scriptures called Anak. A-N-A-K. Anak. Right? That's a female name in the scriptures. That is an Anunnaki, one of the women of the Anunnaki. You understand? We knew her as a wife of Halal. Right? Now, you tell people stuff like, when you hear Christians say hallelujah, right? They don't even realize that they're giving praise to the devil. But they say it so often and so casual that they think it's a good thing, right? But in reality, hallelujah or hallelujah is giving praise to Halal. Who is Halal? Anunnaki. And if you want to be clear, and go to the book of Isaiah 14:12, right? Let's go. Come on, somebody. You go to Isaiah 14:12. Most people on the planet know the devil by his Greek name, which is what? Oh, I should say, his Greek name, Lucifer.
Yeah.
They even made a movie about him.
Yeah.
People watch it and have, I like Lucifer in that movie. Get you to like the devil.
Right.
I watched it, I'm like, damn, they good with the cinema. They get you to like the devil in a second.
He was a good guy. Right. He was.
Louis Cypher.
So, when you look at the word Lucifer, if you go to Isaiah 14:12, it says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. Now, when you look at that quote, what does it say? How art thou fallen from heaven? So it's telling you, this is a fallen angel. Oh, who? Lucifer. Now, if you look up the Strong Concordance in the Hebrew, the Greek word Lucifer, is in English that people accept, is Lucifer. That's his name. But if you go into the Hebrew, his name is Halal. Strong's number H1966. Don't believe me? Check it out. That's his name. So, it says son of the morning. Now, to most people, when they hear son of the morning, what they think? Son of the raising sun, right? They thinking the son of the morning, right? No. The word in the English, it literally says S-O-N, son, Lucifer, son of the morning. And son in Hebrew is Ben. So that's a son, meaning just like you have a child, that's a son. Who is the father? So in Hebrew, a lot of times people have names in Hebrew where they'll go, son of such and such. Right. You know what I'm saying? So his name was Halal ben Shakar, because the word for morning in the Hebrew is Shakar. So all it's telling you is, oh, Lucifer, the angel that fell, who is, it's saying, oh, Halal, right, the angel that fell, son of Shakar. So the devil has a father. You understand? And this is all tied right back into the Anunnaki's culture. Because he's nothing but another Anunnaki. You know what I'm saying? And in different languages, he can be called Nanar. You know what I'm saying? Iblis. What else? Beelzebub. What else?
Anush.
Satan. And the Muslims say Shaitan. All the names are still the same person name in different languages. But going back to the initial point, when a person says hallelujah or hallelujah, they're saying praise to Halal, praise to Lucifer. So they're giving praise to the devil in their own religion. And there is no word in the scriptures that you can't find the word hallelujah in the scriptures. And some people will tell you, oh, you can find in Revelation 19 where it says hallelujah. Listen, just because you put an H in front of a made-up word hallelujah, right? Remember, it says hallelujah. Now, when you look up the word hallelujah in the biblical, you'll find that they'll tell you that it means praise. This is where the trick comes in too. But if you really know, Revelation is what part of the Bible? Old Testament or New Testament?
It's the New Testament.
New Testament. So what language is the New Testament written in?
Great.
So now, I'll challenge anyone right now to look up the word praise in Greek, and you'll never find the word hallelujah. You'll find epanos, you know what I'm saying? Or doxata, but you'll never find hallelujah because it's a made-up word. You know what I'm saying? So these are the things that we get taught by our master to show people. We can show forth our mastery when we start teaching, when we start talking. We ain't here to put you to sleep. We had to wake you up. You know what I'm saying? Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, I didn't want to get into this debate with this cat, but he tried to tell me, and I said that's not facts. He tried to tell me that we was discussing about Dracula, and he's trying to tell me that the dude from ancient time was Dracula was a Nubian, and I was like, nah, that was
too much movies.
That's I didn't see it.
He probably talking about Eddie Murphy.
Oh.
People be getting mixed up with movies. You ever see people do debates online and give you a reference to a movie? Like, that ain't no fact.
Right.
That's a movie.
Right.
They made that shit.
I know you lying.
Oh man, cause we was discussing that new movie Coming Out Sinners, and I was telling them they putting a lot of this, blood-sucking, eating, vampire stuff to the public, and then he shouldn't get trapped up in it because that's the Anunnaki,
The question you should have asked him, what is his reference in that Draco? Oh, he probably talking about the rapper, Draco. He probably talking about that black person. But at the end of the day, listen, Draconians, right? We know that they are reptilians. And these reptilians, and just to be clear, religious people believe in reptilians too. How do you know? Because religious people believe that a woman named Eve was talking to a serpent, right?
Yes.
And I don't know how these serpents talk, but religious people believe that the serpent can talk, right? So that is a form of a reptilian, you know what I'm saying? Which comes from the lineage of the Draconians, you know what I'm saying? Where the word Dracula comes from, right? Because these were bloodlusting beings.
Right.
We know the real story of Genesis 3 with the woman and the serpent, but just for example, most religious people already believe it. They believe in Revelation where it talks about a dragon with 10 heads and 7 horns. 7 heads and 10 horns. That's a dragon. There's also quotes in the scriptures. If I ask the average Christian, do you believe in unicorns? Are they real? What they'll say, nah, they're not real.
Right.
Well, yeah, God think it is in this mythological book. Because there's unicorns mentioned in your Bible. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of things, there's a lot of characters that people consider mythological that can be found in the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? Centaurs are in the scriptures. Mermaids are in the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? And people just ignore it. But these things are actually in the book. When we will come and say, yeah, mermaids exist, a Christian will laugh at us. We're like, hold up, what's God in your book? Why is your pope with the fish head, with the fish hat on, huh? If it doesn't relate to some type of, why is the symbol for Jesus sometimes the fish? Right? It must be linked to some serpent beings from the seas, right? Some reptilians, right? So this is all about the reptilians or the Draconians that we know as the Anunnakis. And we have to get this message in our people's head, because our people are going to end up dying with the doctrine of other than suffering kind, thinking something good is going to happen because you left being a Christian or you left being a Muslim. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to wake up because we know that there's no death, right?
Right.
And we could take that on the science. Science will tell you that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So if the human body made of energy called atoms,
That's right.
so it cannot be destroyed. So once the physical body decomposed, that energy being, that energy aspect of you, whether you want to call it spirit, whether you want to call it soul, it still exists. And guess what also exists? That's spiritual. The mind. Think about it. Where is the mind? We point at the head, but it ain't in the head. Right? The mind is a spiritual entity that, and it has to exist if a person believes in what they're calling life after death. Because if the mind don't exist after you so-called die, what is hell? You still have to have the memory of things that you did wrong to go to hell, right?
Right.
You need the memory to be punished.
Right.
Because if the mind is not real and it's not spiritual, then when you die, that's just it, right? But we know that's not a concept. Right. But at the same time, Draconians are rectangling that's over the music industry. They push a concept called YOLO. You only live once. That's another game to get you to what? Live this physical life to the fullest. Do anything you want to do. Right,
do anything.
Because you're going to die. You only got one life. All them fools going to transition and be like, I'm still alive. I'm still here. Yeah. And you're still on this plane too. Hey, mom, and she can't hear you for nothing. Hey, dad. Hey, my brother. No one can hear you because you're on a different vibrational level now. Right? And on this different vibration level, you don't even know how to overcome that plane of existence that you're on. Because you never was a part of no studious school of thought to teach you how to scale planes of existence. Because most humans think that the physical plane is all that actually exists.
Right.
And that's a lie. But most people, they're going to find out when they die. Those people who meditate, they know there's a spiritual realm. They know that there's realms beyond this. You understand? People who have a spiritual background, they know that there's something beyond the physical. Religious people, they don't know. You understand? And those are the people that we're here for. We're here for the people who don't know. You understand?
Nothing online at the moment.
And we need to stop asking Baba the same questions over and over. You know what I'm saying? I've been seeing questions being asked. I'm like, he answered that already. Why are you trying to look for another answer? It's like the whole concept of he's saying, what he said about food with us. What do we eat? And safety. What was the straight answer? We don't eat things that has
Parents.
right? Why ask another question beyond that? just get to the point and say there's different stages of people, different growth levels, right? Some of us are probably more into the concept where we say I'm gonna eat pure, right? It's just like having Orthodox and Sunni, but I don't want to use those terms in our culture. But you have those who are more strict. The strict Sabian doesn't eat meat, right? Or doesn't eat anything that has parent. The Sabian who's not strict on their diet, they probably eat fish, they probably eat chicken, right? And you find this in every culture. So it's not to play people in the culture. It's just to say, this is the real answer. Don't overlook the real answer because of your physical urges, right? You may not be ready to elevate to the level where you want to say, I don't want to eat meat anymore. And that's okay. I ain't here to badge you. You know what I'm saying? But let's just be real. When it comes to certain topics, this is the answer. And don't give that watered down crap. The watered down is for the people you're just not ready to move to that level when it comes to health. That's it. And there's many questions like that get hit with Baba where you already answered, and the answer always come back differently, just to make you happy. You go, oh, so we can't eat chicken, but you know what? You can't eat chicken. Just don't eat blood meat. Don't all meat have blood in it?
Yeah.
It's the same. That's what Baba does. Is just like you ever watch martial arts movies, and a student may not want to listen to the master, and the master may tell them something just to get them out of their face. Like, here, I know I told you the answer. You want whatever you say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Do it that
whatever
way.
you feel.
Right.
Do it.
Yeah.
But we do have an answer for certain things that's asked to the master. You know? Even the concept of how many cycles, I think I saw that online, how many cycles for the woman. Now we know that the woman is sacred in our culture, right?
Right.
A virgin woman is truly sacred. I'm gonna be real with you. That's the real deal. You know what I'm saying? A virgin. You know what I'm saying? Sacred feminine, right? The other sisters, what you're supposed to do is, because you didn't get the information at the time you're supposed to get it, you got it too late, teach your daughters to be virgins and be a woman to only one man. And whatever you've been through, that's what you've been through. We all go through life and do something wrong, and we have to learn. So the next generation of children are supposed to be the what? Perfection of you, right? So that question keep on getting hit to the master, like, how many cycles to clean my body? None. That's the answer. I'm sorry. The answer is none. He could come back and say 7 to 9 cycles. No, it's none. It's a ritual that has to be done for the sacred woman.
Right.
And that's something that Baba have to be here to teach you.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's the real answer.
That's the answer.
So if you're a woman who has more than, we say more than 4, but in reality it's more than 1. You know what I'm saying? If you're a woman that has more than 1, just understand you made a mistake in your life and teach your daughters to be sacred feminized. That's it. That's the real answer. You know what I'm saying? And there's no shade on the women because us men have bad things that we did too, that we have to overcome as well. To become what? Sacred masculine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we're not going to play the sugar. We don't want to sugarcoat our doctrine. This is the real teaching. This is the hard, harsh reality. And this is what it really is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But make sure our young princesses,
Yep.
your Martats, they become the sacred feminines for the future of our
Yep.
tribe.
All right. Nothing online.
Huh?
That recent reading talks about
Oh, you know what?
On,
I gotta
on
read.
feminine? Who? What's called?
heart seed.
Okay. And since we on that top, no questions?
Nah, man. Go ahead. Go ahead. since you're on that top, wait. No questions? Nah, bro.
Okay.
I had that one. I gotta hear it.
It's on the website.
Oh, okay.
So this reading is called the heart seed. Okay, y'all ready for this? Stop. It's from the master teacher, Panabab Unity Sex, number 1. The secret of the inner sun, the solar plexus, heart seed. The woman holds the key to your genetic future from her genetic past of 4 generations. She has the mitochondrial DNA, your bloodline stories. This is why I speak of the present woman and 4 males counterparts. I'm also speaking about the past 4 generations of women and her family, and the males they exchange bodily fluid with, such as his semen, sperm, and testosterone. So, the present you, as a female, have to protect your family line, your mitochondrial DNA. And that means the only male nuclear DNA in your body is from your father at birth. Once you grow to womanhood, the only male testosterone that should flow through your person should be from your father and his past 4 generations. Yet, being a XX female, your feminine should dominate your genes. So, you have behind your heart gland the central sun, your heart seed. Plugged into it is the solar plexus, heat of life and emotion of your being. You have 4 chambers to your heart. This is symbolic of your being, feelings, love, emotion, and family, and how you affect the future. If you have one other male in your life as a mate, and you digest, consume, absorb his bodily fluid, only that would replace your father's XY. His Y will dominate your father's. It will still be a part of your past, yet this is the making of your future, of your feminine bloodline. So, your first chamber of your heart seat is shared with the love of your father and the love of this new XY male, your mate, consort, or husband. Solar plexus male, soul mate. So the inner sun's light is still burning bright and is even seen in your eyes and on your face when you look at that man you love, and your physical body reacts to his presence when around you. You're still a whole female deity with full mitochondrial DNA power. If you break up with this first or second man in your life, first father, second mate, your love life returns to the first. You'll change because you took in your second male's XYs, Ys, his seed, his semen, sperm, and his male testosterone, his male hormones, and that has become part of you and your future DNA-wise. And if you meet a third male and become attracted to him and engage in sexual acts with him, and your body takes in his XY, male hormone, testosterone, semen, and sperm, then a new war begins in your body. The male hormones fight your female hormones. This is why when a male or female decides to try and change genders, they have to take pills and shots of the opposite sex to have physical and mental changes. Well, this also happens to you when you as an XX female take in many mates, XY, into your body. You change, and depending on how many, by age 46, you have internal changes you don't even realize. Your mind, body, spirit, all becomes more masculine than feminine. By the time you have taken in 4 men, your inner feminine solar light is dimmer and dimmer. You no longer know how to love or truly feel devotional love or true emotional love. You have taken in too many Y chromosomes and hormones and testosterone of males. This is why you have to protect and teach your daughters how they affect your family future by her mitochondrial DNA. In the West, the children of the devil and their daughters taught you to swallow as many good for your skin. They lied to you. Oral sex is from them, does affect your body, just as is said, you are what you eat and drink. One and only one male, your soulmate, that is okay for whatever kinds of sex. Yet, multi-males in your life have affected your mitochondrial DNA and your family's future. What was in each male's history is now in your history. That includes sickness, diseases, and even insanities. The Western world and their lack of morals, free open sex with whomever, has affected our whole Salah race by getting the cursed seed of their women genetic markers, mark of the beast, while their women is ever ready to drink a black man's divine seed. So, this is what I meant by more than 3 males, and your divine light dims and go out. You have confused your inner divine female deity, so you were misled by the seed of the devil. Don't make that same mistake with your daughters. Teach them this message from your ancestors. Protect our divine seed if you wish to travel the stars, to return home above. Once you have lost your pure, holy, divine seed by having more than 3 males in your DNA, can you regain your divine, pure, holy seed before you leave this life?
Yes.
Yes, you can. And that concludes the reading. Any questions? Yes.
You spoke about the female, what about the male?
What about the man?
I'm saying, you see, the woman, the woman got affected, the male don't get affected.
Okay, the male is affected by sex acts as well. You ever notice some men, when we was younger, well, I'm still young, I'm sorry. When we was younger, right, what happened is this. You ever had a friend who got a girlfriend, and all of a sudden you got a girlfriend? You used to chill. Got a girlfriend, you can't find him no more? He's being affected by our spirit force at that point. The problem is, not the problem, the difference between a man and a woman is her genes don't lock onto him. What I mean by that is that a woman, when she takes on a man, his genes locks into her because she has the what? Mitochondrial DNA that transfers from her to the offspring. The man's mitochondrial DNA, is the spirit force of that woman on him? Yes, it is. But is it transferring?
No.
No, it's not. Because when a man ejaculates on a woman, his sperm cell, when you study the sperm cell, it has a head and has a tail.
Right.
Well, the head has what's called the acrosome, and the tail has the mitochondrial DNA. The only thing that goes inside the woman's body is the nucleus, which is the head. His mitochondria gets killed on the outside by her body. Because you know her body is attacking all those sperm cells.
Right.
So, the man is still affected. So this doesn't mean that a man should go out there and sleep with every damn woman that he sees.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In no way are we trying to say that men can do that. We're not saying that. That's not a divine masculine that does that.
Right.
A divine masculine is a man who's had years with a woman. If a woman wanted to be with a man, you should see his history. How long does he stay with a feminine? You don't want to be with a man who, you know him. He was with Susie, Tina, Maria, Katie, Jennifer. And guess what? He ain't with none of them right now.
Right.
He's like, God damn. He is not a divine masculine. A divine masculine has a long, extended relationship with a woman that lets you know that he knows how to have a long-term relationship. Wouldn't you want your daughter to be with a brother who has a long-term relationship? If you found out he's this guy, the guy that jumped from Susie to Aaron to Maggie, right? You're gonna be like, nah, he's not for my daughter.
Right.
I need the brother that's stable, right? Because you want your daughter with a man that's stable. Any man out there that's jumping from woman to woman is definitely not a divine masculine. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, a man is also affected by the spirit force of the feminine as well. But like I said, it doesn't stay with him. The spirit force doesn't stay with him. Of course, everyone is affected by what? STDs.
Yes.
Right? Male or female. No one is exempt from that, right? So that's why you have to know who you're dealing with. And that's why in our culture we would say, before you be with someone, you should know them for what? At least 7 years. Right? And we also tell you to court, right?
Right.
How long we say to court? 6 months to a year, right?
Yeah.
Do you really know a person in 6 months to a year? You don't, right? The real teaching was, you gotta know that person for at least 7 years. You don't know what they do. You don't know what they're about. You don't know if this man likes men and you're a woman.
Right.
We ain't against it, but a woman may not want to be with a man that does that. And vice versa. A woman may like women. You may not want to be with a woman that like women.
Right.
Right? So you have to get to know the person, get to know their sexual habits, get to know how they act when they're mad. That's an important thing. Because you don't know how a person gonna react when they're mad. Some brothers hit women when they get mad, right or wrong.
That's true.
And some brothers deal with them through conversation. Some women hit men. Do you want to be with a woman that hits a man? No.
I don't.
Because it's going to trigger something in you to want to hit her. Right? Everyone should keep their hands to themselves. So you got to get to know your partner. And a lot of people don't follow these sexual laws. You know what I'm saying? Because most people are horny. They see somebody that they're physically attracted to, and all of a sudden they want to jump in the bed.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how a relationship's supposed to go. You're supposed to get to know the person, get to know their genetics. Did that person have any type of cancer that runs in the family? Or you just caught up in their face,
Mm-hmm.
in the big boutique. Right? You caught up in that, but you didn't know that the mom or the father have cancer.
Right.
And it runs in the family. Or they got diabetes. Or, you know what I'm saying? They have some type of sickness in the bloodline. You don't know, because you didn't take the time to think about it, because you like how they physically look. Right? So these are all the things that we take into consideration when finding a partner. So no, men are also affected by the genetic cases, not just women. It's just that the reason why we put a lot of emphasis on the woman is because she's the record keeper.
That's right.
That's the only reason.
That's right.
Because we know that it takes perseverance, it takes a lot of refrain for a woman to stay in her divine feminine state, because she think like us too. You don't think women see handsome men that they like?
Mm-hmm.
But the one that keeps herself secure only to one man, that's divine. You know what I'm saying? So. Any other questions?
Nothing online right now. Anything you want?
Look like you got questions. You got that reading?
Yeah, I didn't think I had it, but I checked. I have it. I was gonna definitely ask you for it.
Back in the days, we had certain scrolls that the master wrote on relationships, and he would always talk harsh of the promiscuousness of humans. And he do that on purpose, because you got to see the harsh reality of being promiscuous, so that you don't do it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And you don't breed a generation of people that's gonna do it. Because let's be real, the young boys are looking up to who in the tribe? They're looking up to the older men.
Mm-hmm.
And the young girls are looking up to who? The older women.
Women.
So we also be setting examples for them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To make better versions of ourselves. You know? So be wise. Male and females, be wise. And like I said, just because you may have been down those roads, Don't look at yourself as crazy. As long as you're on the right path now, that's all that matters.
Matters, yeah.
Alright?
My little sister had a question. I say little, but I'm just being younger, my DNA sister. It's like I'm back. Did I miss much? I was like, I answered it. 2.5 hours. You come back. So she's like, thanks, big bro.
And if you think about, even if you think about this, virginity, right? Can a man realistically be a virgin? Virgin, when you look at the word virgin, does it have anything in there that deals with a man? No. Because people think, people's definition of a virgin is what? A person who never had sex. But that's not what a virgin means. Right? A woman is only considered a virgin because her hymen is not broken. Do a man have a hymen? So virgin is not applied to a man. Simple as that. By definition, right? That word is for a woman. Look it up in the dictionary. But we use it across the board as if it applies to both.
In the Bible, they talk about the Virgin Mary, but they never was like the Virgin Jesus.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Everybody, when it comes to virginity, in all cultures, they praise the virgin woman. That's why when a woman was to get married, even in the scriptures, culturally, the marriage for a virgin is going to be different from the marriage of a woman who's not a virgin. Like what virgin wears in Christian marriages, they supposed to wear white, right?
Right.
So why all these women is wearing white? That's not virgin stuff. They need to wear black.
So many.
Blue, maybe.
Wear the same colors as men, you know what I'm saying?
Match out. Akim got a question. Akim is saying, can you speak on the importance of what we wear at bookstores and on a regular day? Yeah.
Okay, so when you see a policeman, how do you know he's a policeman? By his uniform,
From
right?
his attire.
When you see a mailman, how do you know him?
Uniform.
When you see ambulance, what they call them? EMT. How do you know they're EMT? Because they're uniform, right?
Yeah.
When you see a Muslim, how do you know they're Muslim?
You gotta.
Without them talking. Without them talking. Okay. Christian, we don't know. We don't know.
Only the numbers.
The Catholics, you don't say Catholics.
So,
You know the women, right? Oh, the Jebusites, the Jews. How you know a Jew when you see one?
They got
they
their
got black on.
Okay. And how do you know the black Jews when you see them?
microphone. No, my bad. My bad.
So anyway, the whole point is this.
They wear those.
In the culture, right? In our culture, our attire, people supposed to be able to, realistically,
Right.
if you want to be under the protection of the Netflix, one of the Netflix came down and gave us a dress code, right?
Mm-hmm.
They gave the brothers a dress code, Moapian man attire, right? And they gave the women a dress code. Even recently,
Right.
updated the women's dress code, right? So the whole point is that's your protection to wear the clothing and for people to identify who you are. When you see these Mersads, you know that that's a Sabian, a Moapian. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
When you see the arm tweak, you know that's a Sabian, a Moapian. So and it's just like the women. What do the women wear that we could identify them as well with their hair?
Yeah, that's right.
Braid, right?
Right.
And what do some of the brothers wear?
Braid,
Braids in the back of the head, right?
Mhm.
So there's, in our culture, we have things that we do in our culture to identify us as who and what we are. But we don't have to talk, and trust me, when you wear the attire, it protects you. If you're looking like the people of the world, then you'll be treated like them a lot of times. But if you go to the corner store right now with this crown, even the hustler, yo, what up, God?
Yeah.
See you.
Mhm.
They ain't even trying to bother you because they know that you're not in their world. You know what I'm saying? So the attire alone would alleviate you with problems in the streets if you got that tie on. You know what I'm saying?
So then should it be described as any difference from the bookstores in a regular day?
Nah, nope, not at all. You should be always dressed as a Sabian Nawapi.
Yeah.
Because that, you're not a bookstore Sabian Nawapi, you're a Sabian Nawapi.
Right.
It's just Sabian Nawapi, or Nawapi and Sabian, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we should always wear our tie anywhere we at. So always be identified, because you're still trying to be protected even when you're not at the bookstore. You're more protected at the bookstore. You're less out there.
Right.
So you want to wear it definitely when you're out there.
Mm-hmm.
But come to the bookstore, you show us a wearing a tie as well.
Mm-hmm.
It just shows. And do it because, once again, you don't want the children to get this impression that this is a church or this is a mosque. No. This is not something we do only on a Sunday or on a Saturday or when we gather because of an event. No. Do it all the time. You ever go to neighborhoods that's predominantly the Jebusites? How do you know it's predominantly Jebusite? All got the yarmulkes on. They all dressed the same, right? Same thing for us. We supposed to be getting into the point where we all live in communities, how it was in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So it shall be in the end, where we have a community where you can identify us in our community to say, those are the Sabians over there.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So yes, your tie should be something to wear all the time.
Good question.
You know what I'm saying? Even if you only have one, wash it and wear it again. You ever saw the B movie and you have the B outfits and they all look the same?
Mm-hmm.
That's like us.
Right.
Our clothes, and walk your man, same color.
Should be the same color. Yeah.
And you find it that we do this thing in our culture where we allow in our culture, the women are allowed to be more expressive in the colors that they wear. And the men is always in the black and gold, the bumblebee. You ever notice that? We always in the black and gold, women can wear whatever.
Yeah.
But we know in this day and time, we supposed to be going back to what? White.
White joints, yeah.
Right? And that's something from what they stole, because we know that the book of Revelation in the Bible was really an extraterrestrial book.
Mm-hmm.
There's messages in that book, but only a person who that book was given to can interpret it. And if you go to Revelation 1, what does it say in there? Let's read Revelation 1 real fast. Revelation 1 clearly tells you the revelation of who? Jesus Christ, right? Which God gave unto him to shew unto his servant things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified by his angel unto his servant John, right? So, when we say this is an extraterrestrial book, we know that the revelation, we could just change that whole thing. This is the revelation of who? The real Messiah, right?
Messiah. Yep.
Which, let's say, Ray gave unto him, right? And shared unto his servant John, right? And then signified by who? His angel. Who is his angel? Who is Jesus' angel?
Melchizedek, right?
Exactly, because Jesus what? The Prince of Peace?
Right.
And Melchizedek is who?
The King of
King of Peace. So who is the angel Michael? Melchizedek is the angel Michael. And we tell you all the time, in this day and time, the angel Michael goes back to different cultures.
Right.
So if you want to go to Egypt, that would be Tahuti. You want to go to Sumer, that could be Merduk or Ningishzida. What else? You want to go to other cultures, he's known as Amar Utu. You know what I'm saying? And today, in this day and time, he's known as what? Panabab Yanai. So in this day and time, Baba took in the book of Revelation and translated it. So if you wanted to know what was going on in this day and time as well, if you had the NJ-N.I.H, you could look and read it and see certain things that what should surely come to pass, which is already happening.
Yep.
Right? And that's why we look at this the end of time. That's why we look at certain scrolls like Leviathan 666. And now he will reveal to you and tell you, see that man right there? That's Trump. Right, he'll tell you that's the contact man. For who? The Nar.
Yep.
So Trump is in position, not by chance, but by order of
And
They're ancestors, they're Anunnakis,
Mhm.
because he's the contact man on Earth. And a lot of extraterrestrial things is being presented at this very time while he's in office, right? And look at his name, Trump. What it talks about in Revelation, the trumpet's being blown,
Whoa, yeah.
right? Trumpet. You know what I mean? So there's a whole bunch of things that's happening in this day and time, but most people don't see it. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, we're here to try to wake people up to that reality. Of course, for those who have an ear to listen to the angel have said, right?
That's right.
So,
I'm here.
what many people don't realize on the planet is that the most staunch Christian, the most staunch Muslim, the most staunch Jew, they don't realize we're the most staunch of all their culture.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything that their culture teach, we have it in some way or form in our culture. Why? Because we gave birth to their religion.
Mm-hmm.
The birth of religion. We are the birth of their religion. Without Unuwap, Usabat, there's no religion.
Yep.
So many of the things that's in there, the things that's realistic, and not the fairy tale stuff, we teach. We've been teaching about extraterrestrials for years. Isn't extraterrestrials all over the Bible?
Yep.
They just call them angels. They come down from outer space
Yeah,
to Earth, right? When they say die, what's the Father's prayer? The Lord's prayer.
Our Father,
Our Father who art in
Heaven.
where is heaven?
outside of the planet.
Outside. So our Father who art in space, right? Thy kingdom come to Earth. That means He's coming to Earth. How? It could be interdimensional. It could be on the craft, or let's use religious terms. It could be on the whirlwind. It could be on Ezekiel's wheel, right? It could be on a star that moves and tell the wise men where his baby at. Because we know damn well stars can't direct you
They
nowhere.
don't change direction.
It don't.
No.
A star, you can't walk and follow a star. That's a damn spacecraft. You know what I'm saying? And hover over where the baby was. Come on, this is spacecrafts. You know what I'm saying? But in religious terms, they use terms like whirlwind, Ezekiel will, light, right?
Crystal City.
Crystal City, right? So space. What's that?
Muhammad, they used the donkey, the
Oh yeah,
Barak. Mhm.
exactly.
Going
So
to heaven.
as long as you stay in confines of religious terminology, people accept extraterrestrials. What we do, we strip that religious terminology. Listen, that's a spacecraft, man. Stop playing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's what it really is.
Right.
God move across the face of the waters. Spacecraft.
Correct. That's true.
Right. No questions at the moment.
Okay. All right. So if there's no more questions,
Let me check
we're
one more
gonna
time.
cut class. We're gonna cut class shortly. And thanks for coming out. Have a great class. Appreciate you on the line. Appreciate you coming to say. My brother, back. So we'll get some close out.
Say
Huh?
something, right.
No, I'm gonna let you stay here.
All right.
Come on, man. Well, I'm gonna leave you here. After I told you I'm gonna take you home.
All right, Wadu Washuk, we'll see everybody, not next week, but the following week. All right, everybody be at peace and travel safe.
Yeah. Water.
Is
Still
it
got
funny?
more in the
No,
back.
no, I'm talking, I need some water for the house. When I go
Oh,
down to
that's-
the house,
that's another
yeah,
story.
I need some water for the house.
I left that water. I knew you was coming, so I said, you know.
Yeah, I went through all my water. I like